Welcome, one and all, to a new episode of the Political Zoo, everyone. I'd like to introduce my guest tonight. He's been a frequent past guest on our show. Glad to see him again. Longtime fans definitely know who this is. Please welcome Sage Elias. Thanks for coming on by again, my man.
I'm back in the zoo, baby.
There we
It's
go.
been crazy, but I'm back. My webcam doesn't work, but it's all right. I just blame Haps
No
for that.
worries, my man. Fine by me. Dude, what is up with this new Hap streaming?
So the update happened Thursday, actually. I didn't even know what was up about it. All I knew is that I couldn't get into my Haps app because it was like a new update is happening. Stay tuned. And then I got on it, and then I realized, one, as you can see, everybody watching, there are no Political Zoo graphics. There is no music. There's no anything because we can't do nothing. It's like having the mobile version on your laptop, and it's horrible.
It was so much easier before. Now that we go into the pre-live, I can't see my cameras or anything. I'm kind of doing my adjustments now to make sure I don't look like crap because I usually have a 10-minute window to do that beforehand, but we're sitting here in the stage. Hap's definitely not the right move, man. Really tough for me to figure that out. That's
Agreed,
it was so much more user-friendly before. Yeah, it's so much more user-friendly in my opinion. This is definitely a step backward. It feels less polished now, even though you put your streamlined, look on it. But it is what it is. Yeah, it's not great. But anyway, Elias, how you doing tonight?
I'm doing good, brother. I'm doing all right. I'm a little bit pretty angry about these little vaccine things. The mandates. I don't know if you heard, but apparently Joe Biden called someone a Negro today, or on Veterans Day. He called Stephen Page, one of the greatest pitchers back in the day. He was in the Negro leagues, then he went to the MLBs, just like Jackie Robinson. He fumbled his words. I wish I had a link to show you guys, but I can't do that. But he fumbled his words, and he called him a Negro, and apparently the world's upset about it. And that kind of gets me upset because, one, I don't care if Joe Biden calls anybody a Negro. I mean, if you watch the video, you can definitely tell that he was fumbling his words, like how Joe Biden usually does. So I don't feel like he was going to call him a Negro. I just felt like he was going to say Negro baseball player or Negro league player. But then he was like, let me not say that. Probably. Then he fumbled it up. It sounds bad. I'm not saying it doesn't. I just think there's more bigger problems to hate on Joe Biden for him saying Negro. Like there's mandates that he's forcing upon people, and people are losing their jobs, and we're sitting here and getting mad that he said Negro. I just think it's to me personally. I just think it's dumb. There's bigger fights to fight.
Exactly. I believe it's January. President Biden has put in a vaccine mandate to where if you work for a company that has over 100 people, you are mandated to be vaccinated.
What does that even?
We're already in a labor shortage. This past month, we have seen the largest record amount of people quitting their jobs at 4.5 million Americans quit their jobs in September. The Google rate of how to send a resignation email went up 3,000%. We are not in a position to where we're going to require more hoops and more stringent requirements to work from a workforce that's already not showing up and not wanting to go work for the regular 9 to 5s. Yeah, this is where you need to kind of sweeten the deal for these people, and he's just making it more and more bitter.
And what gets me upset is that while the Trump administration, right, was going on about this and stuff like that back in before he left, we were so mad that nobody was working. We were so pissed. He was like, people got to get out. People got to start going to work. For what? So y'all can fire us because we don't want to get shots? Like, that's wild. And I said this on the Sageway podcast. Shout out to Sageway. But how many people that you're working with that got their measles vaccination? It's
Measles?
probably not a lot if you actually think, if you actually do your statistics. There's more people that don't have the measles vaccine or them other stupid ass vaccines that we're supposed to get as kids, and they still work. They're working hard. They're working great. There's people that didn't get the smallpox vaccine. They're still working. These things 10 times more deadlier than COVID. They didn't lose their jobs. So why do I have to lose my job? Even though I didn't lose my job, but I'm just saying in general, why do I have to lose my job
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't get one set vaccination that just came out, that we don't really know anything about it, that data is still being collected on?
It
That's just
takes
my thought. Like,
yeah,
I don't
it,
see
it
it.
takes a full 3 years for them to get a set of data that's extrapolable to get long-term data. You know what I mean? So there's
Yep.
not. I don't know that my biggest thing is like I don't know the long-term effects of this. I don't know if like in 2 years of getting the vaccine, your heart's gonna stop, or like my kidneys are gonna fail, or my liver is gonna explode, or something like that. I don't know what the long-term ramifications are. All the vaccines I got as a kid are tried and true. I was born in the late 90s, so I got a lot of vaccinations that have been around since the early 90s, 80s, 70s, things that we've seen and had long-term effects over to where my parents were comfortable getting them. I'm fine with being vaccinated. I'm not anti-vax by any means, but this one thing is kind of, I don't know if this truly was what it was, we wouldn't be seeing a huge push for it to the point where there's punishment. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
during H1N1, the swine flu. Now, I was in middle school. I wasn't paying attention to world news. I was still watching
Mm-hmm.
cartoons and G4, but I don't remember being like there's a huge outbreak, not outbreak, a huge outburst against the H1N1 like nasal spray or the shot. There wasn't a huge push for it. People weren't getting fired in mass, from what I remember. I'm verifying with you. Do you remember any issues with that when that was a thing?
Nope. And
When
H1N1 killed 23 million people, and it wasn't a
Mhm.
pandemic.
Now, how many people has COVID? COVID has killed, I think, more than that worldwide. Let
Yeah,
me
definitely
Google
more
that
than
real
that.
quick.
I don't
How
know.
many
Actually, I don't
people
know. Probably by
COVID
by
killed?
now, right?
So, wow, it's trying to give me really in-depth statistics. I just want to know all of them.
Oh yeah,
So
that's the
COVID.
thing now that I peeped. If you look for a
Mhm.
certain specific COVID facts, they automatically send you everything. And they kind of like, I feel like that's like their way to overwhelm the consumer, so
Yeah.
they could just not look at it no more and be like, all right, yeah, whatever this guy says.
So worldwide, there have been 253 million cases
Hmm.
with 5 million deaths,
Wow.
which hold on, let's do the math on that real quick. What's the death percentage from these raw statistics here? And I'm getting this from Google. If you Google how many people has COVID killed, which is what I'm Googling right now, it shows you a huge line of statistics straight from the New York Times as well as Wikipedia and the sources they use. United States cases is 47 million and the deaths are 762,000 at the time of reading these statistics right off of the Google homepage right here where I am looking it up. All right, so let's do the math on that. So hold on, I'm so not used to using a trackpad. Okay, I guess it's staying. So we have 253 million cases, a big number. And only
Yep.
5.09 million. So like 509. Yep, there we go. So then you divide that by the bigger number. So this has a 2% mortality rate.
Wow.
2%. Now that is over all age groups. That's not taking into account people who are immunocompromised. It's not taking into account the young, the old. It's not taking into account the physical health of the people going into it. But in raw numbers, from the numbers presented straight off of Google that you can find that I just did live, This is a 2% mortality rate on a disease that is now causing the world to shut down, thousands of workers to quit, and you have to get a vaccine or you're not working in January. Does this smell fishy to
That's the
anyone else?
craziness.
Does this not sound like this is something to where there's an ulterior motive here? To me, this
Well,
just
of
seems
course
like
not. We just have to
there's
be
this.
safe.
Yeah, we got to be safe against the 2% killer.
Yeah. I have a greater chance of walking down the Bronx and getting shot by a police than I do dying from fucking COVID. Just like fathom that. Like, bro, a bike messenger in New York City dies more than COVID does. Than COVID kills. That's crazy. But we can't say those type of facts.
Oh no, we can't bring that to the attention because then we're causing panic even though we're trying to quell panic by telling you not to be afraid. Because that's how that works, right? You should be afraid. Sit inside, sit in your pod, eat your bugs, eat your plants, get your shots and shut up. Or you can't work. And now you're on the streets homeless because you decided that you're not going to let this thing with a 2% mortality rate rule your life or make you scared enough to the point where you're willing to take a vaccine, a shoddy vaccine from companies that have in the past issued insane amounts of money in lawsuits and recalls for shoddy workmanship in their medication. This is all, I mean, if you want to go tinfoil hat on it, which I love going tinfoil hat, I definitely think it's conditioning the public, you know what I mean, to trust the government no matter what, and anybody who doesn't gets stuff taken from you. If you want to go a little more realistic, I definitely think this has something to do with big pharma. I think big pharma is kind of reaching into the pockets of people where I think big pharma kind of knows its time's coming to an end relatively soon. I feel like enough people are going to be supporting universal healthcare, more affordable healthcare options to the point where there'll be government mandates to make healthcare a little like more affordable, if not completely free for the general public. And I feel like this is them saying, all right, let's just get this last thing in. Hey, Mr. Biden, this stack of money, make sure your kid doesn't stay arrested in the Ukraine after, doing the things he does after him, smoking meth and having sex with women. Have you've seen that picture, right?
Oh yeah. Oh
Facebook,
yeah.
Meta doesn't want you to see that picture.
I
I tried sending that
I
over
had it and I
Facebook.
tried to share it and they told me that I was sending misinformation. I'm like, bro, it's a whole picture.
And I was sending it in a private group chat and in a private DM to a friend, and it deletes it like it was never there. It doesn't give you a message like, hey, this person was sending you this information, view at your own peril, or, hey, we took this message down as it doesn't appear like guidelines. No, it just deleted the message. Gone. Poof. Out of here. As if I never sent it. Like I told my friend, hey, I'm going to send you this picture of, Joe Biden's son with a meth pipe in his mouth sleeping. So I sent it to him, and then like 2 minutes later, he texted me like, "Hey, you gonna send it?" Or like I did. I checked, and it was like it was never there. And I
Bro,
feel
isn't
like
that
they're working in
crazy?
that. Yeah, they're working in that like hand in hand of censorship and the big government telling us, no, this is what's good for you because you can't possibly think for yourselves. And if we do something bad, no, it's fine. It's not, whatever. I think it's absolutely the Hunter Biden situation makes my blood boil because it was suppressed in the mainstream news. It broke at a critical time for the Biden campaign. And if this was Eric Trump or Donald Trump Jr., this would have destroyed the Trump campaign. Trump, until the election day, would have all been about his son and what he's doing overseas. But because it's a Democrat, because he's a career politician, no, swept under the rug. Doesn't exist. Doesn't exist as far as Facebook's concerned. As far as major media platforms agree on, not there. It's gone.
This is why it low key irks me, and I've always say like, yo, the world doesn't care about us. The news doesn't care about us.
Not.
When they post a picture about a missing girl missing, they don't really care. Like nobody cares, bro. They just don't they just don't want to be involved in it. They just don't want to get blamed. They just don't want to,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I don't want people to say like I didn't post this. And with
Oh
the
yeah.
Hunter Biden shit, it just shows, bro, like how much power these people really have.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a crime. That's a big ass crime, bro. Like,
Oh,
how you supposed to
it
run the country, nigga? You
yeah.
can't even run your own son.
It's like, even like, you take away like the crime aspect of it. I don't get why people were saying like an argument like, oh, it's his son, it's not him, it doesn't matter as much, like it's not worthy of mainstream coverage. This guy, who now his father is the most powerful man in the world. He can essentially act without impunity. He can just do whatever he wants. And like, who's going to stop the president's son? President's son walks into a brothel and requests 5 13-year-old girls. No one's going to say anything, knowing that the president will send the CIA after you and kill everyone that you've ever met, straight up like Soviet style. There's no way that they'll stop them from doing stuff like that. You've essentially given this guy the ultimate daddy can get me out of everything complex. That was the whole big thing when people were like, oh, it's his son. No, he now has a golden out. He already had a big out where he was a big career politician, a vice president. Now his father is the president of the United States. He can do whatever he wants, violate any laws, as long as it's not recorded. Even if it is recorded, say, even if it goes big on like 4chan or 8chan or it goes other places, the mainstream will not let it exist in their space. So the general public will hear about it, but they won't see any proof. It'll all be suppressed. And
Yep.
this amount of censorship and this amount of telling you what to do and what not to do and what to think and what not to think is totally apparent in this big pharma situation where, big pharma, how much money did Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, Moderna make because of this pandemic? These big pharma companies that everyone is looking to trust bust and the cut down. These are the people taking in the reservoirs drying up. This is their last big sip before they know something's going to happen. This is what that is. It's just that, and then censorship on top of that to keep people from saying stuff. People are lining the pockets of the people in charge, as it's always been, as it's done for a while, and now it's getting to the point where it's screwing us over, to where now that I work for a interstate security company where we have maybe 10 people on my site with the company I work for, I have to get a vaccine that I don't agree with, or I get fired in January.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Are you gonna get it?
I'll see what my options are.
I
I'd
feel
like
that.
to not, but
Yeah.
if I have to, I'll do some more research and see what the safest one is.
I feel
You
like
know.
I feel like that's. I'm not gonna lie. Like, same thing happened to my boy. My boy
Mm-hmm.
was working in this security job in this little company. Well, it wasn't little. It's a really big ass company. I'm not gonna say any names and stuff like that. But they asked him to get to. Well, first they were like, you either got to get the vaccine or you get tested every week. He was fine with that.
See, I
He was
would be
like,
okay
bro,
with getting tested every week. If you got to put a
yeah,
swab in
test
my
me, bro.
face
Stick that shit in there, all
yeah,
that.
yeah, if you got to
And
put a
then
swab in my face to make sure that like I'm
I'm
okay to work
safe and
around as an
clean.
alternative, I'd be okay with that.
Yeah.
It'd be
And
uncomfortable,
then
it'd suck, but hey, it is what it is, you know.
they changed it like about a week ago. And then he had to get it. And he told me, he was like, yo, like, I've been working with you guys for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not getting vaccinated, but I don't feel like I should lose my job. And then they just fired him. And he was tight. He was like, yo, bro, like, he was like, bro, I gave everything to this fucking job. Like, I was coming, like, that was like, I want to say that was probably his first job, but he got that job fresh out of high school. And he's been there. I'm 28 and he's 28. So we got that.
Yeah.
So about 10 years now, you know, like, and they just shitted on him. And that shit sucks. And it's a wake up call to everybody to understand, like, yo, like these jobs, bro,
Mm-hmm.
it's only if it benefits you. That's why I do podcasting. That's why we're in the political zoo, you know, so we can get our
Yep.
own money. So we don't have to feel reliant on these big ass companies that just want to use you for cattle, you know? I feel like
Exactly,
that shit's fucked
exactly.
up.
Yeah, no, 100% is that I like this network and I love doing my show on here. Other than just talking and conversing with people on my show, I like being able to have an environment where I know my boss is more freedom centered than business centered.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%.
Might not be the best, like, in the short term, but it's something that's going to keep people coming back. Is going to keep me coming back. Yeah, no, big shout out to Dan. But,
Shout out to you, Dan. Dan's in the comments. Oh.
Is he in the comments? I'm just giving a shout out to Dan.
Yeah,
I wish
shout
I
out to
could
you,
see
Daniel.
I wish I could see my viewer data or my comment feed and what that is.
Yeah, I wish I could see that too.
I used to have a nice little number. I could tell how many people signed on, checked me out, are
Nothing
talking
now.
to me. This is nothing. This is so dumb. I know we
This
already
is
like
so
talked
alienating.
about it,
Like, this is the
so
worst
bad.
experience.
Yeah, like
this is
I don't
horrible,
know.
bro.
This is really bad if you want to grow your like online media presence.
Oh yeah, this is horrible. It's like, and it's also, I guess, well, I don't know, because I guess like most studios, you don't see the number count or the comments and stuff like that. But I just feel like for up and coming amateur creators, these moments are really important. To stay connected with the fans, see our number count. But I guess half is better than us. They know more than us.
For Twitch, you can always see that.
Yeah.
You can.
I wonder why.
Twitch always lets you see that.
Yeah, that is true.
See, you can see how many people are on, how many people are hanging out, what the comments are. You can read chat live. That's always been a thing. I don't understand why other sites can't do that. If it's like a copyright thing, or if it's I just need to, make sure that, there's, like differences between us and our like platform kind of a thing. But hey, I mean, it's kind of tough. It kind of stinks because I don't get to be able to see some data that I really want to see. So
once again, big ass companies hiding data from us, and we just have to suck it up. I'm so sorry, bro. Give me 35 seconds. I'll be right back.
Sure thing. But this censorship, and now Facebook's becoming Meta. No worries, man. Oh, sweet. There's a lot less than 35 seconds. Facebook's becoming known as Meta now. I mean, that's not like super. I'm not going to sit there and be like, oh, that's the worst idea ever conceived. But it is, I don't know. It is a little weird. You know what I mean? It's a little odd to me.
Well, I guess I don't find it odd because I remember. So I remember when Google did it. Like the Google company changed their name from Google to some other stupid ass name.
What they changed it to?
I wish I could. Let me look it up. Like the Google, I know the Google company name is not Google no more.
Is it like Google? Like
no, it's not. It's not even Google. It's like some other name.
I would think it's still Google. I know. There were a bunch of failed projects from Google that rebranded.
Oh yeah, they renamed themselves Alphabet.
When was that?
And that's the name of their company. Known around the world, Google abruptly renamed itself Alphabet in 2015, making Google a subsidiary. So and I know why Google did it because I did research when I found out about that, and they did it. Yeah. So like back then, Google did it so that when shit happens in Google, the company itself doesn't get hurt with the stock. So like Google itself gets handled, but not the whole company. So I feel like Facebook's doing the same thing. They're like, look, we're getting a lot of heat for Facebook because of this whole political stuff. Our stock is going down. It's about time that we change our name. That way, when shit happens, it only affects Facebook, the app, and not Meta, the company. Yeah. So like I got that move. Like, I think that's what I always like whenever I see somebody that has a product that's the same name as their company, I always think that like,
Mhm.
man, I wonder when they're gonna change their name. So that's not really weird for me. What was weird for me was the introduction video that Mark Zuckerberg did from Meta.
Oh,
Did you
with
see
the
that?
barbecue sauce on the bookshelf.
It, it just bugged me out, bro. It gave me, I don't know if y'all watch Black Mirror on Netflix, right? It gave me full Black Mirror vibes. Like in 20 years, when niggas look at the documentary of how how robots took over us, they're gonna be like,
Mhm.
so it started with Mark when he created Meta, and then we're gonna see that little weird
Yeah.
uh, video again, and it just bugged me out. I'm like, yo, this is gonna happen. We're gonna be taking over now. Like this is the
Meta's actually
beginning.
launching a new money transfer app. It's going to be powered by Facebook or like Meta. It's called Novi, Novi. It's in early access right now. You can download it for free on uh, the Android market. I'm not sure about Apple, but what it does is it converts your currency to a kind of cryptocurrency in there that's like one for one, even with the dollar. So it's not like you're going to put it in and then like you lose 5% instantly.
Yeah,
Um,
it's
and you're supposed to
virtual.
be able
It's
to
like
trade it.
the in-game currency type of thing.
Kind of a thing, yeah, where like you put it in, it's like $100, $100 is like 100 something, and like it will stay that
D-Bucks and
way.
shit like that. Yeah, 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 I
Yeah,
feel that.
they're gonna be coming out with a new cryptocurrency called DM on Tuesday, which you're gonna be able to buy straight off of that app. It's marketed as a stable coin. It's not supposed to shoot up super high. I looked up the DM value right now, and it is far below a dollar.
Oh,
Um,
so we should invest.
See, that's the thing. You can't buy it yet because it's not. And DM used to be called. So its original project name was called Libra.
Okay.
And now it's been adopted by Facebook. The coin market cap page for it is really weird. I think it might be like a completely different thing that they're trying to like integrate, but there's not a lot of data on it. It's 5 zeros below a dollar as of right now. But like
So
I said, you can't even buy it. Like
it's
anywhere
like
you try
five
to.
zeros below a dollar. What is that? Like a thousandth of a dollar of a penny?
Yeah, super low. And the website's a little shady too. It's very like, I don't know. It like looks like borderline fake. So I think it might have been a small project that not Google, Facebook's going to be adopting.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see. If it comes out and the value is that low and then they jack it up within the day to a dollar, I'm okay with making a quick 5 zeros added to whatever I put in. Um,
Yeah.
but
Oh yeah. How you
that's
feel
just
about
me.
cryptocurrencies and stuff?
Oh man, I am all about that. I'm all about Shiba Inu. So before we talk about this, I just want to let everybody know I am not a financial advisor. Neither is Sage Elias here. We are not financial
Nope.
advisors. We accept no responsibility for any bad decisions you may make or any money you lost. That being said, I'm really big into Shiba Inu. That's kind of the big thing right now that
Oh
people are
yeah.
waiting on to go up. It's kind of been stagnating, slight decline, but that happens. We've seen it before. I've seen it over the past couple months I've been involved. It has a slight steady decline, goes down a little bit, and then shoots up, and then back down, and then shoots way up, and then goes down and stagnates, and like starts that whole cycle again. We're coming to the end of that like stagnate going down cycle, and then it's gonna pop off. Um, I'm all about it. And actually, I talked about this a couple episodes ago where I feel like cryptos are going to replace the dollar in a lot of places, where I don't think the dollar is going to go away because the dollar is a solid benchmark for the
Yeah.
value of items and services and cryptos for that matter. If a crypto can like break a dollar after being so sub cent, that's considered a huge victory for that coin. So that kind of is it's going to stick around to where now we're going to have a gauge of what that is worth. But I feel like it will ultimately get replaced because the cryptos can't be taxed because they're decentralized.
Mm.
So if say you worked like, I mean, I don't think this example is not the best because you're doing work on US soil, but say you work uh and you get $600 a week. After
Yeah.
taxes, your check will be like 450 because in US currency they take taxes out. You put that in like Shiba Inu or Bitcoin, you'd be able to keep that because you're not like using a currency that belongs to the nation of the United States. The big kicker though is when you transfer it to USD, you have to pay taxes on that. But
Yeah.
it's considered a out of economy asset, which actually, so a lot of the dirty scummy things that people do in the stock market, like insider trading, like grouping, manipulating the market, whaling, all the illegal stuff is completely legal in crypto because crypto is not regulated by a country. So if you
Really?
know a million, yeah,
Holy
so if you
shit.
know, if you can get like 50,000 people on board to put in $100 each into a like a really low level not known currency, you can absolutely jack up the price of that, make everybody millions, and then everybody pulls out of that coin, eviscerating the value of the coin. But you can just do pump and dump schemes like that. As long as you have a lot of people on board, you can do that. And there's nothing illegal about it because it's not centralized to a country or to the US economy. It is entirely a cryptocurrency that is out of the like banking system of the United States. And even if you earn
So
that, so what?
I'm so you're saying like if I so like the stuff that they did with GameStop, right?
Yes.
So we did
Which
that with
so
Shiba.
like see like the thing is I don't think that was like pure insider trading because I don't it wasn't like a closed door group of people. It was just people saying I'm going to do this and then someone's like, "Hey, I'll do that. I'll do that." And it just kind of happened. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
wouldn't say anyone like maliciously did it. But yeah, so like you can do that with like Shiba Inu and like you'll get away with it. Like there's a subreddit, r/Shib Army. I get all my updates and people will go up and frequently say if everybody buys like this much right now, price will go up. Like, if people come together and say, hey, I'm looking for 100 people to put like $1,000 in each so we can put in a substantial amount of money.
Yeah.
And then we can jump the price up a little bit. And
So
that's
how
completely
much
legal.
so right now what's the Shiba coin worth? Like one.
So
Is it a
one
dollar yet?
Shiba coin, oh no, it will not be $1 for years to come.
Really? Oh shit.
Oh yeah. No, it's gonna take a long time. There's just too many coins in existence. There's 4 quadrillion coins.
Yeah.
So that's 4,000 trillion. It's the next one after trillion.
Yep.
Um, it's on my watch list here. I'm checking the coin market cap app here. So right now, one Shib coin is 4 zeros below $1, 5345.
Jesus.
So it's not a half of a penny. It's a like it is way lower than a penny.
Yeah.
It needs 2 zero values to go up to a penny. The circulating supply, there has been a significant amount of burns lately, and they're working on a robust burn system. So that
What's a
way,
burn? What is that?
so they're getting rid of coins. They're taking them out of circulation by putting them into a designated burn wallet. So it's a wallet that'll hold coins that once the coins are there, they're never going to be used again. Like the wallet is never going to get messed with. Like I think that like the people who set up the wallet don't even have the codes to get in, kind of a thing.
Wow.
Yeah, and they have an NFT line where when you bought your NFT, in order to rename it, you had to burn $100 worth of Shiba Inu coin.
Yeah.
And if everyone who bought an NFT renamed their SHIB, that's $1 million worth of SHIB gone. And with
Jesus.
less supply, then it will drive the price up as it's more rare and tough to get.
Oh, that's pretty lit actually. That makes it
Yeah.
oh, that actually brings that actually helps the market, you know?
Oh yeah, no, it'll help it get bigger. I've talked about this before on the show. I love SHIB, and I really want it to go
Yeah.
somewhere. I have a solid like amount of coins in there. Um, I there are people who are overnight millionaires. Did you hear? I don't think I didn't do a podcast the week this came out. There was some news. So the thing about crypto wallets too, you can see other people's wallets.
Okay.
Now that unless you yourself or someone identifies you to that wallet, it's anonymous, but you can see the wallet of, like
Elon Musk.
IX2A3, like not
Yeah.
Elon Musk, but like you can see the serial number wallet. You know what I mean? You can just see
Okay.
what's in wallets, but unless
That's pretty
you
scary.
know, but the thing is your name's not like attached to it. So unless you
Okay.
say I'm the owner of this wallet and I can prove it and you prove it, then people know that's your wallet. But if you can just see what's in people's wallets. And there's a wallet where a guy purchased $8,000 worth of Shiba Inu coin last August, so August of 2020.
Okay.
His wallet was now worth $5.7 billion.
Whoa.
Yeah, just by putting 8K in the right place.
All right. We got to start putting money into Shiba.
I know. Or like I'm all over low currencies that no one's ever heard of. I'm trying to find the next big breakout. Just put in $100 now, and then in a year and a half from now, just have millions sitting in my
Yeah,
wallet.
that shit is it's so scary for me. Like I remember
Mhm.
when I was in Forex in the city, I knew a guy he put about, before Ripple became a dollar.
Mhm.
That night we was at a Forex meeting, and then we was all hanging out, and he was like, yo, him and his friends, he was like, yo, we're gonna put 10K into Ripple. And they're like, all right, and they're like, look, whatever happens, we just lost 10K. That next day it went up to a dollar, and those dudes had money.
Mhm.
And I was just there like, damn, I should have done that. But then I think about it, it's like, I don't know, I'm just not good with the markets
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Like I'm not good at math. I don't know how to read charts. It's not my thing.
There's a lot of sensationalism that comes with it too, because the overnight millionaire scenario is very possible, but it's not common, or
Yeah.
at least common to the point where, and like one of the big thing, and I have an economist friend who I was talking to about this, and with the current supply, it's impossible that it would hit a dollar, because say SHIB hit a dollar tomorrow, SHIB almost has, I want to say almost 100,000 holders. Let me check it out. Let me fact check that real quick. Holders of Shiba Inu. Let's see how many holders do they have, because that's public knowledge. You can see. So there are 836,000 holders of Shiba Inu
Damn.
coin, right?
Yeah.
So say it hits a dollar tomorrow. That's 836,000 millionaires that are now all going to be trying to pull out at the same time, right? So
So is that bad?
there's 4 quadrillion coins, right?
Okay.
There's only, I want to say, $200 trillion in existence.
So not everybody will get rich.
So then the thing is, so actually no, so there's only $40 trillion in circulation. Now, money in the form of investments and cryptos and all other kinds of stuff exceeds 1.3 quadrillion, but you can never try to liquidate all that at the same time. So you're going to have 850,000 millionaires trying to get their money all at the same time, to where there's not going to be enough dollars to go around. And I know like not everyone's going to get it physically, but like there's not going to be enough numbers to go in bank accounts.
Hmm.
So that's why
So
it won't hit there until
could this
it's like
break the
liquidated.
economy?
It very well could if it happens. And the big reason why it's not going to hit that value anytime soon is because it has to be cut down to the point like 99% of the circulation right now needs to be burned for it to even think about hitting $1.
Wow.
Now, and that sounds like, crazy. Like imagine giving majority of that. It would still make a lot of people a lot of money. It would still be a very worthwhile
Oh yeah.
investment. I have around 13.5 million coins. So even if that was like 99% of that was taken, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's do the math. So 13.5 mil. So then divide that, actually multiply that by um 0.01 because the 1% left over. If it hits $1, that's still $135,000 I get just from putting some money into it a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Like that's all my bills paid in a new Tesla. You know, that's
For real.
that's cool. Yeah, that's I'm cool with that. So I don't know. It depends on just what people have, and it would be crazy. But they are doing a robust burn project, so I really like cryptos. There's this one crypto my friend told me to get into. It's called AquaGoat,
Mm-hmm.
and that one, see, like the cryptos that are tricky, like the early ones, you have to jump through a couple hoops in order to get those currencies because they're a little tough to get your hands on. They're not going to be listed on places like Coinbase or Binance. See, until a coin like makes it, it'll be
Yeah.
when it makes it, it'll get on Coinbase and Binance. But if you want to get in like early to like maximize gains, you need to go on like Pancake Swap, which is
Okay.
like manually switching currencies to other currencies. Like you would buy Ethereum, put it into an independent wallet, and then hook that wallet up to PancakeSwap. And then you would have to go into the website of that little lesser known crypto, plug in the numbers to that wallet, and then manually it would convert it and then send it to your wallet. Which it's kind of complicated to someone who doesn't know what to do. The first time I tried to do it, I was like,
OD.
what are all this like? I was like, what's all this about? But yeah, one of my friends said AquaGoat's where it's at, but I don't know. AquaGoat kind of fluctuates. AquaGoat is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 zeros below $1.
Jesus.
So I mean, if it hits $1, I'm set with like I don't know, putting in like $10 now or whatever. It has 550 trillion in supply though, so it is kind of it's not it doesn't it can't get that big unless it has a really big robust burn market, but it's I like cryptos and the whole like race involving that, and it's interesting to see this coin DM with the new Facebook stuff being a 1-to-1 to the dollar. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's going to replace the dollar, but it will definitely hold kind of the dollar's place in the sphere of cryptos. Because right now, cryptos are in this really weird phase where everything's like going up and it's booming and there's a bunch of stuff, but everything's kind of in this zone of establishing themselves in crypto to where like whoever develops these cryptos, they want to be a household name. They want it to be like
Yeah.
Bitcoin or Ethereum, and everything's going to kind of get an established place in the hierarchy of crypto coins. There's already a high established like hierarchy. You have Bitcoin always at number one. Ethereum is always going to be at number two. A lot of people prefer Ethereum to Bitcoin. Bitcoin's kind of like a novelty just because it's the first of its kind, and there's only can be 21 million, and there's only so many that can be mined a day. It's very smart in its preservation of long-term value. Ethereum is just a smaller coin, so it can move a lot faster. So people use that for trading and stuff because if you're on the blockchain, you're trying to transfer any significant amount of Bitcoin, it takes like an hour for it to go between wallets and like process through the blockchain.
Yeah.
Ethereum can take 15 minutes. It moves fast. So those are
Wow.
kind of already established, but you have coins like Doge and SHIB and Ripple and Solara that are going through and they're trying to figure out who's going to be the hierarchy and what coin's going to be used for what. And every coin has a niche, and what niche is going to break the market, what niche is going to make people say, I want to buy this coin over this coin? What thing is going to make businesses want to use certain coins and jack their value up? And then once their value kind of hits a high and stagnates, then they'll be establishing rankings. So coins are really trying to get there. So any coin that has a really good niche is going to start out really small. Then this is the time, like, put some money in, and then it's going to blow up. And it's like not so much value wise, but percentage wise. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
like, is say like a coin hits like 50 cents. It's like, okay, cool. If SHIB hit 50 cents tomorrow, I know I'm going to get people. I'm going to go, oh, SHIB in, you hit 50 cents. People are going to go, okay, like, it's only 50 cents. It can't be that much. Well, I have 13.5 million coins. That's like $7.25 million
7 million.
for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, actually, no, less than that. It was six and a quarter, excuse me. But yeah, it would actually, no, 6 3/4. Can't do math. It's too late at night. But that's what that means. So it's more the value of percentage instead of the value of raw value.
Yeah.
Value. Um. So especially with the way where internet's a mainstay, and that's obviously something to where we can all agree on. Even when Bitcoin first came out and people were laughing at it, anyone with half a brain would look at that and say, no, that's going to be it, because the internet's going to be around. I definitely agree that we've with the notion that we have dug ourselves into a hole to
Yeah.
where the world as we are now would not be able to survive without the internet. If the internet was gone tomorrow, say like every server building just was destroyed in one day,
Hmm.
say there's no internet anywhere, the world would collapse. We are so dependent on the internet. And when people are saying, oh, maybe that's a good thing, reset back, we're at a point where we can't go back, where we wouldn't be able to fully revert. We're not able to revert to a point without electricity anymore. We're like, it's to a point where it's been so much a part of our learning in the past
Yeah.
few years. It's where we can't get off of it. And that's not
Yeah. There's
necessarily a
people that
bad
don't even know how
thing.
to read a map.
Oh yeah.
So they
Yeah.
want to, yeah, they want to know how to even, if you take away the
Hmm.
maps from them, they'll be lost.
Oh yeah, then there's it's not necessarily a bad thing. There are some instances where it is bad, but the internet is here to stay, and it's not going to go anywhere anytime soon. It is, and especially at the beginning of COVID, I feel like this was established that internet is not a luxury anymore. And the internet is 100% a utility. It is something that
Yeah.
needs to be in every house. There needs to be internet present in order to be able to do basic things like go to school, get news. Yeah, you can watch the news on TV. It's so much better, and you can get more of what you want to know on the internet. You can't, like, I mean, yeah, you can. Magazines are essentially a dead art form. It's not, because I'm
No.
thinking like, oh, you get rid of the internet, you have to do your research like our parents did it by going to the library and getting, like, checking out books and reading everything. Um, I mean, you could do that, but like, you'd have to revive a lot of dead industry, and I don't think
Yeah.
that would be the move. We're into a point of no return as far as the internet goes. But while we're talking about that and cryptos, what is your opinion on NFTs?
Man, that was gonna be my next question. I don't really know
Hmm.
what really NFTs are. All I know is that the Soldier Boy made one. All right,
Did
you
he
should
really?
go. You should,
That's
yeah,
awesome.
you should go buy the Soldier Boy NFT. All right,
Hmm.
big Draco
Hmm.
doing big things. But that's all I know. Like I actually heard him say about it today on the Breakfast Club interview, and I was like, what the fuck is an NFT? Because I know Dame Dash and Jay-Z got into a lawsuit because Dame Dash wanted to put Rockefeller as an NFT. And then Jay-Z tried to sue him, or vice versa. So I have no
Hmm.
idea what an NFT is. Is it like a GIF that we can sell?
So, kind of like that. So an NFT stands for non-fungible token, which means it can't be replicated as another form of its original in the blockchain. So
Okay.
the best comparison, especially with how it's used right now, is, how you can Google the Mona Lisa and you can print out
Okay.
a picture of the Mona Lisa and hang it in your house.
Okay.
And it's not going to be nearly as valuable as the Mona
Yeah,
Lisa
because it's a print.
yeah, because it's a print. It's not the original version that the
Piece.
artist made. An
Okay.
NFT is the digital version of that, where it's the original
That's pretty
of it.
smart.
Like, yeah, so if you own a piece of art in like as an NFT, according to the blockchain, like yeah, you can save PNGs of it, but you don't own that image.
Yeah.
The third largest amount of money paid to a living artist was an NFT sale at $69 million.
Jesus Christ, what was that?
Yes. So it was a compilation of an Instagrammer who he makes artwork on his Instagram. Like every day he puts up a new art portrait.
Yeah.
It was a compilation of his first 5,000 days
Wow.
of making digital art. Yeah. So it's just this giant mosaic of just all of his stuff. It's one of those things where at a glance, it doesn't look like anything. And then you zoom in and then you can like see everything.
It's like a big art piece. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's like a big thing made of a bunch of little art pieces, but it sold for $69 million. And you can go and save a JPEG. I had it as my phone wallpaper for a while. So, but that doesn't mean I own it. It's not
Yeah.
mine per se. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where is it worth to you to have the original of it? I feel like the fine art angle of NFTs is going to have a bubble and a burst, very similar to the .com bubble of the early 2000s, where everybody was investing in any company that had .com in its name because the internet was now
Mm-hmm.
taking hold. And then when all those businesses ended up fizzling out, there was a pop and a bunch of people lost money. And I feel like it's the same thing, especially these NFTs where people are selling like NFT collections with each one being $200. And a lot of people don't know or mention this. There's gas fees when you buy NFTs. You have
Really?
to like pay, yeah, you have to pay like a collateral payment to like the website that hosts it and to the wallet, essentially. Like that's the gas fee. And it's usually like around $200 depending on how
Wow.
much you got to pay for it. So on top of what you're paying, you have to pay $200 to get that into your wallet. Um I'm part of a Discord where they give out free NFTs. You don't have to pay any gas fees on it. They get it into your wallet. And the way that they're doing it is, I believe, the future of NFTs, which is trading cards.
Yeah.
Trading cards in like the physical sense. Yeah,
Oh yeah.
you can take your Pokemon binder and slam it on a copy machine and you can copy it. But that's not the same as having the actual card. And it's going to be the
Mm-hmm.
same thing but digitally, where there's going to be digital trading cards that are going to have value and appreciate over time. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's called Crazed Crypto 2Ks. They have a Discord where if they do free trading card drops. If you take your OpenSea wallet code and you copy and paste it into their chats where they're doing free NFTs, you can get it completely for free. And then you can like I have like 7 cards on my account, just like Halloween themed crypto cards from the past month, and I have a Shiba Army card and a Shiba Bugatti card because just like I'm holding on to SHIB.
That's
So
funny.
there's yeah, and there's stuff you can get, and there's exclusive cards to their Patreon members. So you subscribe to their Patreon, you can get like exclusive NFT trading cards. Do I think it's going to be extremely valuable? I don't know. It would be cool if this card I got completely for free now in like 20 years is worth like thousands of dollars. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of like like
I feel
the
like
mhm,
I feel like with NFTs, I feel like it's not gonna go away. I feel like you said, it's gonna be a bubble and a burst.
mhm,
Well, like I feel like I don't know, like how I see it, it kind of reminds me of it's like the new way of how rich people are gonna do, how rich people are gonna shop. Like you know how like rich people they get their shit off of auctions, like these crazy
yes.
ass collectibles. I feel like
Mhm.
NFTs in that is in that market, so I feel like they're gonna be really fine.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I feel like stuff like that, like NFTs, like all this stuff, like crypto investing, like it's for us, but it's not really for us. It's for the rich people.
Like
And
the
when it gets
crazy
big,
dudes and stuff. Yeah. But I feel
yeah,
you.
like like $69 million, bro. I see nobody working at Walmart going, yo, I'm gonna buy that dude's mosaic painting. Like that's rich people stuff. Like I feel like that's where NFTs are getting it. That's why I'm not surprised now that Soldier Boy has an NFT. Like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, I see why he has it now. He's gonna try to make another quick buck. Like I feel that.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't trust anything Soldier Boy is going into after his gaming systems scam.
Oh
I don't
no,
know if
that
you've
was
seen
actually legit.
those.
You know, he's actually he actually has another game system being
Hmm.
bought out. Like from that Soldier Boy game console he made, he got a big part. He got a big ownership in Atari for that. And then with that, he made this little Soldier Boy console, like handheld thing. Is like a phone
Hmm.
and a gaming console at the same time. You could connect your PS5 controller to it, HDMI compatible, and he's just sold that for $100 million.
Wow.
So like he's doing good. Like I feel like I was really like you. Like yo, everything Soldier Boy is fake. It's a
Hmm.
scam. But like now, like I've been doing mad research on him. I'm like, oh shit, this guy is actually legit. He's just a troll. He's just the first
He's
rapper
just a
ever.
troll.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's crazy.
I feel like NFTs would never be something that I would get into. It's kind of like trading cards.
Hmm.
Like I feel like like Jake Paul has that $15 million Charizard Pokemon card and stuff like that and
Hmm.
stuff like that. I feel like that shit's mad cool, but I feel like I don't have the luck to get a super rare thing, and I don't want to. I don't know. I
Yeah.
feel like that's a pretty big. It's a pretty big
Mhm.
market. I don't see it going away. I see it actually thriving. Like I see rich people doing
Oh, as
NFTs.
it as like it goes on and there's more time, it'll only age it like wine. Like it's just gonna get more
Yeah,
and more valuable as time goes on. I actually, a couple of my friends are into the Pokemon card scene, and they're into getting like rare and expensive cards. And on Halloween, we have this tradition. I usually hang out with all my friends on Halloween. We had this this big Pokemon pack opening. Like everyone, like all the packs belong to my friend, but everyone usually can open a pack. And one of my friend, like I said, my friends are really into it. They have it fine tuned to a science. Um, he had a pack, so he paid $600 per pack. He got two packs, so $1,200 for
Jesus.
two Pokemon card packs because these packs come from a set that was short printed with valuable cards,
Yeah.
discontinued, and they were weighed as heavier, meaning that there was you're guaranteed to pull an expensive card.
Wow.
And he opens up one of them, and I'm freaking out. I'm like, that's $600. Like, that's definitely gonna go up in value. Like, it's gonna appreciate. Why are you opening it? Like, what if you don't get anything good? So he opens it up and he goes into it, and the first pack he opens up, he pulls a Lapras, which in that set was the most expensive card, and that like a $1,000 card.
Wow.
He pulled out of it.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
So it's like it's a little bit of luck, but like if you know where to look and who to buy from and are able to put money down into it in the first place, and that's kind of what stinks. It's like you need a little bit of money to make that money.
Yeah.
But like yeah, you can make it big like my friend did. It was unreal. We were freaking out. Like that's the Lapras. Like that's the card. And I think like the highest people were spending for that card were $5,000. The lowest was $1,000, just depending on quality of the card.
Yeah.
So it was it
Jesus.
was insane. So he made good on his investment. It was something that just freaked
Man, the
me out.
closest I ever got to
Hmm.
that was when I got Pokemon Shield, and then I
Hmm.
started like shiny hunting. But I don't shiny
Hmm.
hunt. Like I don't know if anybody knows, but to hunt for a shiny, it's like mad work. Like
Hmm.
you have to catch a Pokemon over 9,000 times for you to at least for you to get a shiny Pokemon.
Hmm.
So I don't
Oh
have
yeah.
time like that, nor does my ADHD allow me to do that.
Hmm.
So I hit the streets, all right? Like every other hustler I know, and I was on Facebook. I was like selling Pokemon to get Pokemon, and I had mad rare Pokemon. Like I had a point in my time where there was 900 Pokemon. Like there's 900 Pokemon in the game right now. I probably had
Hmm.
about 800 of them shiny
Oh wow.
in my hands and just selling them and stuff like that. And even that right there, which it was, I didn't get money for that. I was just in the Pokemon community. That alone was extremely stressful for me because I was like, oh
Hmm.
my God, I'm over here hunting for these certain things. And then I got into where I wanted to get a shiny Greninja, 6IV, Japanese, and that was super fucking rare. And then I had to get that. And yeah, that's about the closest I ever got to $1,000 Lapras. And that one time I got a $50 meal.
Hmm. Oh nice.
Yeah, the shiny meal that you get for when you get that stupid Pokeball from Walmart. They give you a shiny meal with it, and I got that meal, which I
Nice.
guess
There
I
you
can
go.
sell that. I guess.
Yeah, go for it. I think it's a weird way to look at our economy when like a lot of what people are doing, especially during this pandemic, involves physical or digital assets that they can liquidate into money instead of like working for that money.
Yo, and isn't that
You know what I
great?
mean?
Like I feel like with that aspect alone, I feel like the Great Depression will never happen for us. Like
What
how it
makes you say
happened
that?
back then. Because like back then everybody was back then when the banks failed, right? Everybody
Hmm.
was putting the money in all these things with the banks and whatnot, and they were trying to have their physical money. But here, I feel like Americans learn from that, and we're learning to have assets more. So like, okay, cool. If I
Hmm.
lose my fortune, I could liquidate this, and then I can have this. You know, like my brother is a big guy, and like he's big on gold and silver. Like he's a big guy on gold and silver. And he's always telling me, he's like, yo, like if somebody robs my house right now and steals all the money I have about at least 50K in gold and silver. So I'll be fine.
Wow.
You know? And that's like, holy shit, bro, that's amazing. You know? So I like that. I feel like nowadays our generation would not, I mean, I'm not saying that the Great Depression would never happen, you know? It would have to be something as big, like maybe like if the internet shuts down for like a day, you know, where shit stopped moving and we have a setback. But like for how it happened back in the 1930s, I feel like America wouldn't really be affected as much because we'll still be moving. We still got our assets. We still got shit that we can. We still
Hmm.
have our investments that we can move on. So it really wouldn't affect us as bad unless something like they EMP us and shit.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that really don't know how to invest or how to do crypto stuff or have like worthy assets of trading. My parents aren't going to have rare Pokemon cards to be able to liquidate into money to keep them afloat. They're not going to, my parents really don't know how the stock market works as far, especially since the internet kind of came and changed the game. It did simplify it and streamline it to where if you
Yeah,
go on YouTube and watch an afternoon's worth of videos, you can be a pro. But you just go on YouTube and there's always someone who can explain it to you. But
for real.
it's tough. It is. I understand like there can definitely be economic hardship, but if the stock market crashes, see with the cryptocurrency thing, I feel like that's what's kind of keeping us from depression level economics. Where like yeah, say the stock market crashes, cryptos would then explode. You know what I mean?
Really?
Well,
Oh
oh
yeah,
yeah,
because
most
now
definitely
we
because yeah,
no one's
because then
investing in
yep,
stocks.
everyone will be pulling out of their stocks and putting it into other assets as to not be taxed, especially with the Biden administration, where if you make more than $400,000 from that, the government takes 60% of your taxes, like 60% out of that.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you pull out of that, you don't want to pull that into straight cash. You want to convert that to another, or at least you don't want to pull it out in cash and keep it cash. You want to pull it out and then put it into something else or just straight exchange it. So if there's
Yeah.
an oncoming depression where, businesses are falling and stocks are crumbling, people are going to take that and go right to cryptos to keep their assets instead of liquid. So that way they don't have to deal with the taxes. As well as it would kind of bolster the validity of these coins because the coins really kind of fall apart when their usage or like market manipulation happens. You know what I mean? Like Bitcoin, I don't think will ever fall below $50,000 again, or at least I don't think it'll fall far below 50,000. Like I feel like the lowest it can get back to is 48.
Yeah.
But with Bitcoin being as like it's a giant. It's one of those things where it's too big to fail, especially in the next coming years. Um, I believe it's 18 million. How many Bitcoin are currently mined? Because um, Bitcoin has a limit of 21 million Bitcoins that can ever be mined,
Okay.
like ever. So there are 2 million, a little over 2 million Bitcoins left to be mined. So it's almost 19 million Bitcoins are in existence. When all 21 million are minted and there's no more mining, that's going to shoot the price of Bitcoin up because now there's no more incoming supply. And Bitcoin's always going to be a staple. It's not going to go anywhere. So in the next coming years, like as big as Bitcoin is now, you never know that might, like, I can definitely see that as something big. Um, the inventor of Bitcoin has a wallet with 1 million Bitcoins in it.
Wow.
Yeah. So because it's an anonymous wallet and the inventor of Bitcoin hasn't claimed it because he uses pseudonyms, like we can't add him to the world's richest person lists, but he is by far the world's richest individual. He has, like, it is an unreal amount of money that he has
Yeah,
in
what
Bitcoin.
48K times a million?
Oh, it's a
Jesus
lot more than
Christ.
48K right now.
Oh yeah, 48.
Bitcoin
Oh,
it's in the
well, how much is it?
60s.
Damn,
Bitcoin
60,000.
is so it's at $64,000 right now.
Jesus,
Oh yeah, yeah. So
64,000 times 1. Oh
64,000
wait,
of
64.
that 1 milli. That's $64 trillion.
Fucking
Mm-hmm.
hell, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's definitely the richest man in the world.
Oh yeah.
He can't even take that money out.
Oh yeah. No, he can. And he's not. It's sitting in the wallet, and it hasn't moved since Bitcoin's creation.
Damn.
So it's
So what
like,
can so like let's say if one day he goes, yo, I'm gonna take all this money out. What's gonna happen?
mhm. Well, that's the thing. I don't think anyone would be able to give him that much money. Because he would go to any kind of conversion, and I mean, the smart thing would be to break it down to other currencies that you can take it all out in, or at least
Mm,
like put it into stable coins and, like, fill up the, like, because that's a lot of value that's going to be
yeah.
going around. To Yeah, you could never walk up to a conversion or a bank and say, like you can't go up to Coinbase and go like, hey, I'd like
To cash
$64
all this out.
trillion, please. I think Coinbase has a limit. If you have all your paperwork squared away, um, and you're like a heavy investor account, you can take out up to $1 million a day. So that's $1 million every day for 640,000 days. I'm sorry, for 64,000 days. Excuse me, 64,000 days, which
Wow.
is so 64,000 days. So 64,000,
Divided by a year, so that's what
yeah, divided by
360.
365 is 175 years.
So he's literally his family is set for life.
Yeah, it is him, his kids, his grandkids, and probably his great grandkids, or maybe even, like, if they're smart with that money, like it's $1 million a day.
Jesus Christ.
You could be
But
like,
what
oh
could you
man, I want to, like, you could go out and like party like the hardest you can and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, and it'll all be back the next day, plus some.
Yo, you can burn $1 million in a day. I don't know
Hmm.
how, but you could burn $1 million in a day and be like, yo, tomorrow I'm gonna burn another million.
Yeah, do it all
And
over
you could
again.
do that for
Do it
175 years.
again. Yeah, 175 years. You just
Yo,
do
that
that.
is that is
Hmm.
a suicide
Hmm.
level of wealth. Like
I
that's
know.
just to me.
Yeah.
Like I see like that. Like you have $1 trillion. Like you can. Jesus Christ, bro. He could buy a country.
Yeah. No, you definitely. Yeah, you could buy most countries. He could buy out Disney
Oh yeah.
if he wanted. He's like, I
Imagine
want.
he
I
just
want
buys
control.
Disney. Like, look, I'll give you guys
Yeah.
$1 million. Not even that. I'll give you guys what's nine. What Disney's like? What $100 billion company? I'll give you 1,000 bitcoins. Like, I think they got to be close to a trillion
So
because
Disney's
Amazon's
annual
a trillion.
revenue. So Disney's annual revenue is between 65 and 70 billion dollars.
Really?
Yes. So if you wanted to buy a company, the typical rule of thumb for that is you want to give them 10 years of that value up front. So he would need to
Damn.
give them like around
All
$7
of his money.
trillion for Disney to say, okay, we'll give you keys to Disney.
But yeah. And I mean, damn, he doesn't even have enough money for that.
Yeah, I mean,
Almost.
he would have to, so 7,000 days, right? I'm doing that math right?
Mm-hmm.
So with $1 million a day at 7 trillion, so 7,000 days. So what's 7,000 divided by 365? 19 years. So he would have to save up every day for 19 years, for like 20 years. You have to save up every day, live frugal, and then just buy Disney.
He would just be a poor man living in like a 1-bedroom
Mm-hmm.
apartment, just eating like government cheese. Like,
Yeah.
in 2 more years, I'm
I
gonna buy
yeah.
Disney.
I read a green text on 4chan once, and it's 4chan, so take it with a grain of salt. But I read one that was really funny, where this construction worker like took this gear from the site back to his worker's house, and he said the worker lived in like a rundown apartment, like barely any furniture. He lived very frugally, like he was eating like ramen noodles every day, like 95-cent cup, and he had a crappy laptop. And he showed him his
Wow.
investment portfolio, and he had $2 million in investments in cryptos. And he said he was waiting to get
Jesus.
5 million bucks, so that way when he gets 5 million, he can just quit working, move out, get a house, and just retire. Like he just doesn't want to worry about it.
That is insane, bro.
Yeah,
Hell
right.
yeah.
It's like,
That's the
wow.
way to live.
Mm-hmm.
See, stories
Grind
like that
now and
almost makes me
finish
want to
later.
invest in crypto, but I don't have the
Hey, I'd
knowledge. Like, if
recommend throwing a
anything,
couple
I'll just
bucks at
pay
Shib.
you.
Yeah, I'd recommend throwing a couple bucks at Shib, because even if Shib hits say Shib hits $1 in 5 years, right? That's 13 mil for me. I get to retire when I'm 30. Okay.
Wow.
I'll retire when I'm 30,
Yeah.
going to like Italy and Paris every weekend because I
So
can.
I could invest in SHIB and Coinbase
Oh yeah, it's on Coinbase. It's on Binance, on Coinbase.
because
Again,
I
we're
have
not financial
Coinbase.
advisors. Oh yeah, it's on Coin.
Yeah, we're not. Sure.
Yeah,
Don't trust me. I
yeah.
was in Forex and I
Don't
made
trust me. Yeah,
$80 by investing into the Japanese currency, and then I lost two
nice,
hundred
nice.
dollars by trying to invest in the Australian currency. So I'm not the best. I'm not the best advisor. That's why I talk to Drew.
And even then, we're just goofballs. But yeah, you
Yeah,
can
I
get it
miss
on
Political
Coinbase.
Zoo, man. I love it in here.
Yeah, man, awesome, dude. Yeah, I love, dude. It's so fun. A couple of weeks ago, I couldn't do an episode because I couldn't get a guest, and that was awful. I hated it. I
Yo,
was
you
sitting
gotta
there
hit
like,
me
man, I
up,
don't get my
man.
space.
I get out at Walmart at 10, so
Oh, cool.
it'll be
Okay.
kind of close for me, but I can
Mhm.
definitely come and do it on Saturdays. That's not a problem.
Yeah, nice. I'll talk to Dan, see if I can get a new slot. You know what I mean? Because sometimes it's tough to get people in here at that time, especially when I need a co-host that isn't like, I don't have an established co-host. So
Yeah.
it's tough. A lot of people that I shoot people text throughout the week. I'm always like, hey, you want to come on my show this weekend? And I usually get a lot of people doing like, it's Saturday night. I'm doing stuff.
Yeah, that's such a.
Yeah.
I kind of hate that too. When I pod and I be like, "Yo, y'all want to hop
Mhm.
on?" They'll be like, "Oh, I'm doing stuff," and I'm like, "All right." And then they get mad. It's like, "Oh man, you don't invite me no more." And it's like, "Cause you're not really that serious. Cause you rather party than pod." So it's like,
Yeah. No,
yeah, it's
it's their
life.
life. I get
But
it. And like there are times I can't do it because like I got things I got to do outside of this, and I have pre-established plans, or like I have family stuff. So there have been times I've had to take a couple episodes off, but I get in here as often as I possibly can.
nah, man, I'll definitely hop on it. If
Mhm.
just shoot me a text, man. I'm usually,
Huge.
thanks to
Will do. Will
Walmart.
do.
I think about everything. I forget about everything
Mhm.
at the same time because this place is like it's chaos. I kid you not.
Oh,
Wally
I bet.
World is not Wally World, people. These people are wild. They're they're insane. And I don't
Are
even
you
work
seeing
with
a lot
people.
of Are you seeing a lot of like turnover rate? A lot of people quitting? Are you like feeling the effects of this labor shortage?
Not in Walmart. In Checkers,
Mhm.
when I was working in Checkers, 1000%. Like when I was working there, I I was training for 4 weeks, and in day 3, I already got put into my own store because they had nobody and people were just quitting, and then I quit. So, but like with Walmart, I feel like Walmart does really good to keep you there. Like, I mean, at least in my Walmart, like the pay is really good, the bennies are really fucking great.
That's good.
The hours are not that. I mean, the hours are crazy, but like at least in my Walmart, they'll work with you. Like I was working fucking 12 to 8, and then I couldn't do that, and then they were like, "Yo, we could just push you to 1 to 10 if you want." And I was like, "Oh, okay, great, that's awesome. Thank you so much."
Nice.
And then like they're not. So I feel like in Walmart, it's not much of a turnover rate. People are getting fired, but that's because people are doing stupid shit. Like we had another guy. He tried to steal a big ass box of Pokemon cards from stock.
We were just talking
And
about that, man. That's like, it's a big deal. I know Target doesn't sell them anymore. Is Walmart not selling cards anymore because
no, we
it's
sell
causing so
them,
many
but
issues?
Walmart does it so super now. Like you can
Mhm.
even like when the let's say I know there's like a new pack coming out, like the anniversary 20th anniversary
Yeah,
pack I think is coming out. When that pack comes out for the first 2 months, it won't be on it won't be in the rack. You have to go to customer service and you have to order 2 at a time for 60 days. And then
wow,
it's two packs per customer. And then after 60 days, and then they'll put it on the shelves, and then people could buy fucking 1,000 of them and whatever. But it's a big ass problem. Like even with the Pokemon stuff, like it sounds pretty funny, but like we had a meeting about that actually. Like we had a meeting
that's
about
nuts.
employees buying things and getting things, and it was like it's like it got crazy. Like I honestly can't believe he tried to take not even a pack. He tried to take a whole box. Like I don't know how much a box is, but it was like a big ass box.
Oh, the boxes
And
are
he
usually worth like $100, like $80 ish in that area.
he he tried to take a whole box, and it was like, bro. And then we got into a big thing, and then now, like,
Hmm.
it's well, I know in my store now because of that, like, we get extra searched. So like when you
Hmm.
leave, they search your bag. They tell you to open up the pockets, and
Were the
I mean, it's
cops
not a
called
problem
at
for me
all?
because I don't what.
Were the cops called? Or
Nah,
did people have to
Walmart.
get involved?
They got they caught him. They were like, hey, we know what you're doing. They were like, just give it back or it's gonna get crazy. And then he gave
Mhm.
it back, and then they fired him. And I feel
Wow,
like that was lucky for him. Like, you're mad lucky. Like I know when I
that's
was working
right.
in Zara in the
Hmm.
city, I had somebody steal a pair of $80 pants, and that dude left in handcuffs.
Wow.
And in the middle of our shift, cops came, said, "Put your hands around your back." And then I was just sitting there trying to handle 5 customers at a time. Like, oh shit, this dude just got arrested. So like he was lucky. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I guess that's what I'm saying. Like, Walmart is
Hmm.
like, at least my Walmart, they're pretty dope, you know? Because like if other companies, that dude would have been done. Like you just said, $100, bro. I think that's federal. I think
That's
you can. I think you
crazy.
can press charges on that. Like if it's that much,
Speaking
like
of,
that's
yeah, that dude, that's crazy. Speaking of pressing charges and the legal system here in the United States, we've had a couple of crazy court cases and some big judiciary stuff happen this past week and couple weeks here. A lot of the people involved in the January 6th incident are being caught up to now. Steve Bannon is uh, getting an indictment for contempt of Congress.
wow.
Yeah, but the Supreme Court is trying to pin a lot of these things against them. I know that a younger CEO who I think swung a chair in the Capitol building is going to jail for a little while and has to pay fines. It's it's there's doing a lot, and then at the same time, with all this stuff happening at the federal level, you have the Kyle Rittenhouse trial going on this past week.
Hmm. Kyle.
Which, yeah, dude, that's the Rittenhouse trial is going crazy. Have you been following that at all?
So yeah. So at
Mhm.
first, I thought he was the dude that shot. Um, I thought he was the guy that shot that jogger.
No, so that's I yeah, it's Ahmed Aubrey.
Yeah, Ahmed. Yeah, I thought it was
Yeah, Ahmed
that
Aubrey.
case, but then I found
Mhm.
out it was another case. He shot 3 white people, and he's a kid, right? He's 17 years old, and they
Yeah.
and like I watched the cross examination
Hmm.
between the defense and his own lawyer. And so what I think the story is, and tell me if I'm wrong. So apparently he's 17, right? He was
Hmm.
hired by this neighborhood to protect, to keep the peace, and then these people
Yeah. Hmm.
harassed him, and then he shot them. Is that correct?
So kind of. It's like really simplified. I am
Okay.
not entirely sure on the hired angle of it because a
Mm-hmm.
big point of contention was he like could have avoided this by not even being there,
Yeah.
kind of a thing. But so during the day before the night everything happened, he was helping businesses board up. He was going around. He was giving medical supply. Like he was doing like essentially community service. And from my understanding, he decided, listen, I worked all day to keep these people safe and these establishments safe. I'm just going to go around and just make sure no one's messing with anything. And there have been instances in the past where that's effective. You had the rooftop Koreans at the LA riots. Like
Yeah.
that was like the big thing. Like people talk about that during the whole BLM George Floyd protests. Um, the I remember seeing during the initial George Floyd protests with the BLM, there was like a strip, like a small strip of 4 stores, and there were a bunch of guys standing outside with rifles, and people were trying to get in their face. And they're saying, "What do you have guns for? Are you going to shoot us?" And they said clearly, and they had them on perfect video, saying, "Listen, we have no problem with you. We got no problem with what you're protesting. We think it's gross. Do whatever you want anywhere else. You're not touching these stores behind us. They like
Okay.
don't charge us. Like we are like we're cool with whatever. We're not going to yell at you or antagonize you. Like you guys, you want to burn down that store over there, go for it. You're not touching what's behind me." And those places were left alone. So from like at least my understanding of it, uh, Rittenhouse went through Kenosha with his rifle. I believe it was an AR-15 with his rifle, and he was just patrolling, just making sure no one
Yeah.
was, that no one's beating on people or no one's breaking establishments. He helped board up. Um, these people saw him walking around with a gun and got in his face, and he was trying to tell them, "Hey man, like I don't have an issue with you. Back away from me. Get away from me." Um, One guy, and he confirmed he said this: "If I see you again, I'm gonna kill you."
Yeah.
And then later that night, he saw him because he was doing just like a walk route. Um, he was charged by 3 guys. Um, One of them had a gun. I remember like seeing the clips of video when it happened, and it's tough to
Mm-hmm.
talk about it because, like we said earlier, with the Facebook censorship, a lot of the clips that were used to talk about this case were scrubbed from the internet. You couldn't find them anywhere
Yep.
because big tech and big media doesn't want you to know that these clips are out there. So he was trying to get away from these people. They were charging him. One guy had a skateboard and was trying to hit him over the head with it. He eventually at one point gets knocked down on his ass, and he kind of scoots back, has his gun, has it drawn, and he's repeatedly yelling, "Get away from me. I have a gun. I'm going to shoot. Get away from me." They continue to charge him, so he opens fire. He kills 2 of them and scars the third.
Okay. Lit.
So, and then, yeah, so then that whole thing happened, and now he's
Being,
going,
yeah. So now,
yeah,
and they're
so
charging
he's,
him as an adult and stuff, right?
yeah, they're trying to charge him as an adult because he had all of his certification and paperwork for doing, for having the gun. He's 17, but he was acting like an adult in his own volition. Like the 1 year shouldn't really make like that big of a difference in this case. So he he's kind of on trial right now for just like wrongful death. I think they wanted to put him on for murder.
Yeah.
Um which it's obvious this was self-defense. And even when they were up on the stand, did you see the meme this week that the prosecution's lawyer at one point, like the defense lawyer got the witness of the prosecution to admit that he pointed a gun at Kyle?
Yeah.
So, and like the prosecution lawyer just went like that. And it's so funny. It's hysterical because his case fell apart because he was there. The way they're trying to portray it is that Rittenhouse showed up to the scene knowing that there were going to be protests and riots, intended on killing somebody for whatever reason, used whatever excuse he could to kill them, is what they're trying to say. But I feel like from what I've seen, the defense's argument is a little more logical, that this guy was just trying to keep the peace in a neighborhood that he frequents, that he worked on during the day. People were trying to attack him for doing said thing. Should he have been there in the first place if he knew it was going to be dangerous? Probably not. Should he have been walking around with a full rifle during excitable people in a riot? Probably not. But
I don't
it's
see why
not.
not for any of that.
Yeah, but because it's one of those logic where it's like you look in an alley and you see a bunch of guys like flipping knives or like shady looking people. You're not going to walk down the street with a couple of 50s popping out of your back pocket. No, you're
Like I
gonna
feel
get more.
like
Like it's one of those things where like
they
you can clearly, and like, but that's not what the trial's about. And I
yeah.
understand the prosecution's argument of, if you can clearly identify that there is a more than more like a likely chance there is going to be an incident of violent confrontation, don't go. And I agree to that to an extent, but that's not what the trial's about. This trial's about if Rittenhouse wanted to kill these people, or like specifically showed up to kill, which it's from what I've seen, it is apparent that's not the case at all.
So I feel like the way how I see it is, you have a 17-year-old boy,
Mm-hmm.
right, against three grown ass adult men that know the
The
difference between right and wrong,
well,
that
also
know the
just
difference.
they really it's funny you say they know the difference between right and wrong, because the two people he killed, one was a convicted pedophile and the other one was a serial woman beater.
Oh, lit.
So it's one of those things where people are like, even if it's not like he went around shooting Girl Scouts. Like,
Yeah, like like this is what I'm saying. Like if you look at it, like, and I'm no attorney, I don't know
mm-hmm,
I didn't pass the bar, but you have a child, right? Let's
mm-hmm,
say again, if he's a child, right? Because he's
yeah,
17, he's a child. He may have his working papers, he may have anything. That dude don't know his ass from his elbow, 100%. He's a child, and you have three grown ass men who know the difference between right and wrong, who are adults, literally went after a underage boy, because that boy doesn't look old. That boy does not look, even
he's
with a
not he
suit.
yeah,
He has a haircut. He has a suit and a tie. That boy looks like he's ready to go to prom.
very baby face, very
Like
baby
he's
face.
a
I mean, like,
boy.
I don't
So
I
you
don't
have
want to
three
shit on the
men.
kid, but yeah, he is young looking.
Yeah, I'm not shitting on Kyle, bro. I mean, you can't
Mm-hmm.
cry to save your life, but like he's
So,
a
well,
kid. So yeah,
to
approach a
give him
kid.
cradet, like it's a traumatic experience he has to relive
A
on
hundred
the
percent.
stand. Like
A hundred
I
percent, it
was
is.
yeah, I was perusing Poll earlier this week, and someone was trying to say how like he's crying, trying to like pull alligator tears, and he's being a bitch because he realizes he did the wrong thing. And a lot of people, and myself included, were in the comments, like on the other thread, saying that no, he's reliving an extremely traumatic experience.
Yeah.
Like
And the
no one
defense
like
attorney
yeah.
is berating him. So he's reliving that
Mhm,
as the defense attorney is mentally berating him, because
mhm.
that's their job. They want to berate you so you could fuck up and then say something.
Oh, yeah. So
So I feel that.
Rittenhouse, so I think he was 17 at the time. He might have turned 18. That's why they're trying to charge him as an adult.
Yeah.
Um, he killed a 26-year-old Anthony Huber and a 36-year-old Joseph Rosenbaum, and he injured a 27-year-old Gage Groskowitz. So the youngest person in this pack of three had a good 9 years on him.
Yep.
So it's not like this was teenage antics, or like there's a excitable 22-year-old looking at someone who could have looked in their 20s. This is a kid who he's like we said, he's baby faced. He looks young, and he defended himself to the best of his ability.
Nah, I feel that 100%.
Mhm,
Like, and even with the story, like he helped build up those borders, and he wanted to walk around to make sure that his shit is safe. So, like,
mhm,
what are you accusing him of? Defending his property or defending himself? That's either one of the two. Like, it's really like I don't know. Like this, I feel like this court, I feel like this whole case is so
mhm,
stupid. Like to me, like it reminds me of the Gabby Petito thing. Like this shit is
mhm,
so retarded. Like, and the fact that this is more shown than the George Floyd case. I have to look for the George Floyd case. Where here, I go to any Facebook status, any Instagram thing, any YouTube suggestions box. The Kyle Rittenhouse thing is right there. Why isn't it like that with the George Floyd stuff? This is why I really
mhm,
like. Honestly, and no offense, Drew, because I know you're white, but I really don't care about white people problems anymore.
mhm.
Because that's all what the media wants to show us. White
Like
people
in what
stuff.
regard? Like what specifically?
Like Gabby Petito being lost, I
Mhm,
don't care about that. The Kyle Rittenhouse trial, I'm really starting to not care about that, and it's not because I don't care about these people. My heart and condolences and grievances go
mhm.
out to Gabby Petito's family. My prayers and healing energy goes out to the Rittenhouse family. But it's like, bro, there's so much other shit happening that's
Mhm.
on the news that you guys are not showing, and all we're seeing is white. And it's like, bro, I just man, and just the fact that this whole case is just bullshit. It's like, bro, you
Mhm.
put this shit against any other situation in any other fucking time. You will have this kid on Oprah, on Ellen, on Kyle's a hero. Kyle defended
Mhm.
himself. Now he's a criminal because he was fighting against protesters during the Black Lives Matter riots. So now he's a
Keep in
racist. I'm assuming.
well, keep in mind the both of the people that were killed were both white. The 36-year-old Rosenbaum was charged by a grand jury with 11 counts of child molestation and inappropriate sexual activity with children, including anal rape. The victims were
Hmm.
5 boys ranging in age from 9 to 11 years old. This is from the
Hmm.
Wisconsin Right Now website. The first, I'm trying to make sure that I'm getting the correct facts here, but yeah, that was a 36-year-old Rosenbaum. Rosenbaum's the big focus because a lot of people saying, "Oh, like you killed somebody, it's you killed a convicted pedophile."
Yeah. So, and honestly, now that you
Mhm.
say that he's a convicted pedophile, I'm really starting to think was that dude trying to attack Kyle to attack him or to sexually attack him?
I think it was probably more of an attack just because he saw like a guy walking around with a gun and just decided to act that way. Going to what you
I
said
mean,
about
for
Mhm.
normal people, we will see a guy with a gun, but for a pedophile, he probably sees a hot ass kid with a nice ass. Like I'm just
Well,
saying, like yo, like we
he
gotta
was
start
he
thinking
was
how these dudes
17.
think.
He was a little out of his age range. He was 17. His highest age was 11. So
Nah, but he looks 11 though. Kyle could pull off as an 11-year-old. Don't even
yeah,
lie,
yeah.
Drew. Come on
Get
now.
down.
It's like saying, like, if I see Megan Fox walking down the street, butt ass
Mhm.
looking mad hot with an AR-15, I'm not gonna be like, oh my god, Megan has an AR-15. I'm like, yo, look at Megan's ass. Like, it's like I'm just saying. From what my common sense tells me, that's just what I
Mhm.
think. I'm glad that pedophile is dead. I'm glad that woman beater is dead. I don't know what the dude that got scarred did, but if he did some crazy shit, he should have died too. Like, bro, like not everybody that dies is a victim, bro. These people are bad people, and probably that was God saying, you know what? Maybe this pedophile, maybe his time is up. I'm gonna give him karma justice for him
Mhm.
attacking kids. I'm gonna have a kid attack him, and I love that. I love that celestial
Yeah, it's
karma
one of
sense of
those.
humor
Yeah,
shit.
karma.
So
Yeah,
like I
yeah. He
feel
was.
that.
Mhm.
I don't know. I just like honestly, I feel like, and then like now they're saying that this is the new trial of the century. I'm like, this isn't the trial of the
Well,
century.
and I agree with you, and it shouldn't be the trial of the century. It's pretty open and shut when you look at all the stuff presented.
Yep.
Um, and like just going back to what you said about like the white people cases in court and the white people
Mm-hmm.
stories, I agree with that to a certain extent. Where some story, like while they're tragic and while like the Gabby Pato stuff like that, that's awful. That happened to
Mm-hmm.
my daughter or like my girlfriend or people I know, that would destroy me. And I understand that's a terrible thing. Human trafficking is the biggest criminal empire of our generation. And it's something
Yep.
that is disgusting and awful. And it happens to a lot of people. In certain areas, it happens disproportionately to minority women and minority children because a lot of them don't have families that lean back and look for them. I think
Yeah.
it's like just disproportionate amount per capita of Native Canadian women are taken and involved in sex trafficking and human trafficking. So and while I do understand kidnapping is awful and how it goes that way, I feel like the media will pick and choose stories like that to sensationalize, to distract from
Yeah.
bigger issues. Because at that time, Biden was pulling some stuff with vaccine mandates and
Mm-hmm.
the $600 IRS thing, and you heard about that, right?
Oh yeah, like if you only
Yeah,
have
if
six
you
hundred
have
dollars in your
600
bank
bucks,
account,
yeah, the IRS can check out all your bank transactions to make sure you're not doing
and
anything
everybody's okay with that.
ridiculous. Ridiculous.
I
No
talked
one's
to.
okay with that. But the thing, it's not on mainstream media. It's not a mainstream issue because it has to do with like numbers and money in the IRS. No one wants to hear about that. And like the people involved who are making the rules make the loopholes to get out of it that aren't going to be accessible to people like you and me, but they're accessible to the people in power. So that's why
Yep.
that's why a lot of the people in the power don't really care. But like, so that's my thought on like the Gabby Pietro thing. I hope I'm
Petito,
pronouncing that
yeah.
right. Tivia
Petito, yeah.
on Petito. Okay, yeah, sorry. So that's my like opinion on that. But with the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, the reason why this is really important is because this is becoming a symbolic case against walking around armed in public and
Okay.
how far is too far when defending yourself. It's not like an official like statement thing, but it's one of those things where they're trying to establish the precedent of what you should do going forward if there's an incident involving your life being threatened at a protest like this. You know what I mean?
So what do they
It,
want us to do? Tell a teacher?
well, yeah, that's the thing. People like there are people genuinely saying just let the people do what they want and then report it afterwards. What if they kill you? What if they permanently like? What if they take your eye out? What if they like? What if they rape you on the side of the street? Just let it happen and call the cops later. When you have a way to defend yourself and stop it from ever happening, Kyle saved his own life that day. You don't know what's going to happen to that kid. If that kid got shot on the street, he would have just been a statistic and no one would have known his name. He took action and
Yep.
defended himself, and that's what's causing the issue. And now this is the issue that's being pushed isn't so much hey was this like murder was like they're trying to pin him for that, but it's this symbolism of this is the case that defines what to do if you're in a situation, especially at a protest, and how people can manipulate the verdict of this case to be able to go and shoot people. Because if, I mean, it's just, I'm just like playing with what ifs.
Mm-hmm.
Say Rittenhouse is not guilty on everything and he's free to
Okay.
walk, and that's that. I can tell you now, there are going to be people who are going to go to any kind of protest or riot or anything, and they're going to try to start trouble so that way they can kill people. There are going to be people like that. And I feel like the big part of this case is that they want to get people to not be in that mindset to where, like, because it say, like, oh, the Rittenhouse trial, because as soon as that goes to court, where say I work with Joe Schmo. Okay, I work with Joe
Mm-hmm.
Schmo. Joe Schmo is really passionate about um, some issue that's going to have a big protest this weekend in Boston. So I follow Joe Schmo to Boston, and when the protest starts getting violent, and the National Guard is starting to like section off, and people are starting to throw bricks in windows and whatever, I go up to Joe Schmo and I shove him and I start like antagonizing him. Joe Schmo goes to swing on me. I shoot up Joe Schmo because I'm defending myself. Now that's going to get taken, and I'm in court. My lawyer's going to say, well, look at the Rittenhouse trial. This precedent is set that he was defending himself at a protest. Now that's pretty elaborate and intricate, but there are going to be instances where people are going to push luck. They're going to push the envelope to antagonize someone so they can kill them. And that's what a lot of people think Rittenhouse did. I don't think that for a second, but this verdict is supposedly going to set that precedent of what can people do in the name of self-defense at these things. And with more and more civic unrest, especially toward our government, where a lot of people left and right don't like our administration, with police brutality becoming more and more media highlighted, where like, COVID mandates, when you have these things, they're looking for what to be able to say and use it in law. Like, hey, the Rittenhouse trial, he was found guilty on everything. If you're walking around with a gun, you're going to be told to go home or arrested because this has been shown in this court that. So it's becoming a big deal, and it's being pushed in the media, not because like, oh, he's white and the people he killed are white, and because it's just something to distract people. This is important to see what we move forward with. I don't think it's as important as people are trying to make it out to be. Like I said, I feel like this is pretty open, cut and dried. The kid was just walking around trying to make sure the community he frequents was safe. He doesn't live in that community. I'll give the prosecution that. He lived a half an hour drive away from that community, but it's a community that he frequented and a community that he's comfortable and familiar with, and he doesn't want to see it turn to shit. So he went around with the intent of defending his community and had to take two people's life in order to protect himself, not his community, to protect himself. Because especially in riot mentality, he would have died. He would 100% died.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't just give him a couple punches and send him on his way. Like he would have had his head bashed in by that skateboard. More people would have joined
100%.
in. Yeah, riot mentality, mob mentality. They would have run him over and killed him with just like the stampede of people. So he was doing what he needed to do to preserve his own life. And I fully agree with the defense. I feel like this kid should walk. Maybe he should have, I mean, if you really want to compromise, take his guns away from him, as much as I hate that. And I think that's bullshit if they do it. If they just want to try to make both people happy, yeah, whatever. But he should not face any jail time for this. But like
I mean,
said,
honestly, if they want to put him on jail time, they
Mhm.
could put him, I guess, on the gun charge to make everybody happy.
No, he had all of his paperwork in order.
But
He
could
did
you walk around with an AR-15 just walking around?
he was certified to do so. He had his complete open carry. Like there is no issue with him owning that gun or walking around with that gun. He
Wow.
had all of his paperwork in order. He had all of his ducks in a row. He was like the whole thing comes down to, should he have opened fire to protect himself? That's the whole point of the case. The gun was
Okay,
acquired
so then,
legally. Bullets were acquired legally. He was allowed to walk around with it like that. He was in the right. Like that's not the point of contention. That is obviously like very, very true to what he is. Like he is good to have that gun.
yeah, I feel like he shouldn't do jail time at all. I feel like it
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't even be a discussion like, oh, if they do this, then other people are going to try to do that. Then you know what? Maybe we should stop having so much fucking chaotic ass protesting.
Mm-hmm.
How about that? How about
So
we have
then,
organized protesting?
what do you think the government should do about that then? Like how, well, maybe not the government, but how should we remedy that? How do we stop people from taking to the streets and protesting and having it escalate? Because the mob mentality escalates it on its own, and you're not going to be able to stop people. Like part of our First Amendment right is our inherent right to be able to protest anything we see fit, as long as we're not on private property or hurting people. It obviously escalates. It's not legal to be able to tear things apart, but it's
Mm-hmm.
more of a headache to try to prosecute everybody who's destroying and looting a Target than it is to get everybody behind bars who did that.
You say that, and then I kind of think about Martin Luther King.
Mm-hmm.
I think about Martin Luther King marching. I don't know how many people he had, but he had a whole bunch of people. They marched
Mm-hmm.
they marched from one side of the state all the way to Washington. A big ass herd, big
Mm-hmm.
ass mob. Not one of them broke down anything. That's something, and like that's things I think about. You're like, how
Mm-hmm.
can I do that? What can I do? One, there has to be a reason to protest. Saying, hey, we want freedom. That's just a chant, everybody. We want justice. That's just a chant. Like, like it's such a big thing. Like, what's the cause here? What are y'all
Mm-hmm.
sitting here for? What are y'all protesting for? You know, like when I was in 8th grade, right? The New York City the MTA bus drivers protested because they were getting underpaid and they didn't have enough vacation days. So they protested. They said, we're not going to go to work until you give us shit to do, until you give us our money, until you give us our sick days, you give us our vacation days. And they protested, right? They
Mm-hmm.
didn't break shit down. They every day, every day, every day. That was a cause. They got an action and it left. A lot of these protestings are like a big chunk of them, and I know people are gonna hate me when I say this, but a lot of them are not protesters. They're sheep's, they're wolves covered in sheep's clothing. That's the new thing now. I
Mm-hmm.
want to go out and I want to do shit, or I'm gonna protest. I want to go out and I want to wreck shit, or I'm gonna protest. That's not protesting, you know. Like coming from a Christian community where we protested hard, where we fought for these things, you know, there's a set demand. We're gonna do this until you give us this. It's not just about picket fences and hauling up traffic. That don't do nothing. That only causes problems. You know. So I feel like moving forward, as we do the protests, as our leaders in our community, as our black leaders in our community, as our Hispanic leaders in our community, as our Caucasian leaders in our community, we have to lead that correctly. Because I said this back in the George Floyd riots.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody led that. Nobody. There's so many black leaders in our community. Killer Mike, Candace Owens, bro, fucking P Diddy, J Cole, all these people that to a lot of people they're like, who the fuck are these people? These are people that speak to the black community.
Mm-hmm.
These are people that speak to their own community. These are people that if they would have stood up and said, yo, don't riot this way. We're going to do this. We're going to sit down in the middle of Times Square and hold up traffic as a cross pattern on the street. And we're going to do this for certain days until we get justice. That's something, you know, it's just doing things with a purpose. A lot of these problems with these riots that they don't have purpose is because there's no guidance. There's no navigation. It's, oh, we're just going to go out there and chant. All right, what else? We're just going to chant some more. Nah, fuck that. I want to break shit. I want to be on the news. You know, I want to be the new
Mm-hmm.
LA riots. And that's not how it is. And this is what happens. You know, you get people burning cars, breaking down shit, people killing people, and you have a white boy that takes it upon himself to defend himself. So honestly, I feel like moving forward, it's not a matter of the fact of, oh, should we have people on have guns during protests? Nah, it should be. This is the biggest question that we've been saying all along. How can we make protesting safe?
Mm-hmm.
How can we go back to having a peaceful protest again? You know, not
So,
crazy shit, not breaking down things, not attacking people, just protesting, doing your message out there.
so I couldn't agree with you more. As someone who thrives on public speaking, the way that Dr. Martin Luther King did his protest to me is unparalleled in their effectiveness and in their longevity as from strategy. He
Yeah.
made it perfectly to where, because people are going to naturally make an us versus them kind of mentality. That's just how
Mm-hmm.
people are. When you have a group of people protesting, if you at any point become the aggressor or an aggressor, you can now justifiably be labeled as the bad guy in the situation to anyone objectively looking. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be much and it doesn't have to be crazy, but if you do anything like, say like a couple kids, say like during like a march across the state, a couple of kids threw bricks through windows, it's going to be they break private property, they make people scared, they throw bricks in windows, they're bad. They're going to be people who have that notion because of this, because there was some kind of retaliatory, don't want to say violence, but just like a physical response. Dr. King's strategy of just take it, let your other side be the full aggressor,
Yep.
and then we will be a virtuous protester. That is an excellent strategy in getting your point across, especially the point being that the black population is not a violent, angry herd of people, and that they are people that can think the same, do the same, and act the same, and live the same as their white counterparts in our country. Like that to me is like the best form of protesting. Now it might sound a little hypocritical because I'm saying don't take any physical reaction when you're protesting, but then I was just saying Kyle Rittenhouse shouldn't just take the beating and then sue later. Two completely different things, in my honest opinion.
100%. Because
There's
none of
difference
these people in
between,
Martin Luther
yeah.
King thing were at risk of dying.
Oh, a lot of them were, but like
Oh yeah,
if
probably
you,
was. Yeah, you're probably right. I
yeah,
probably
if
take that
if
back.
you have to, like, you got to do what you got to do to keep yourself alive. But if it's, if it's taking name calling, if it's taking people throwing trash at you, to me that's the best way of protesting, is taking all the negative stuff, not retaliating. And then when it comes down to it and people have to look at it objectively, they'll always go to the cause that didn't do anything retaliatory because it was done in a purely peaceful passion. I love the way that Dr. King pioneered protesting, and I love the way that he did it, and it still resonates with me, and it plays into why I'm not a racist person. You know what I mean? Like he
Yeah.
did a great job of demonstrating back then, to the point where even today we can still draw on it, that, like, if you want to look at it empirically, scientifically, I'm not saying racism's a good thing. I'm not saying I'm a racist, but I'm saying that, like, say the idea of, hey, this one, people with darker skin are less superior to you because you have white skin. All right, well, let's look at the facts here. So, they're crazy and violent. No, they're not. They can protest by walking across the state and doing nothing.
Yep.
Like that shows that you're equal. We're all equals. That shows that, to like a logic standpoint, from an empathetic standpoint, it shows the point and how true the point is. And that's like, I
Yep.
love that style of protesting. So to reestablish a method of protesting like that would be unbelievably good for the country, for how we do our protests and how we get across that we are trying to get a point across, instead of just trying to have an excuse to blow off some steam and let out some violence. Now, you said that leaders of the black community, or leaders of any oppressed community that want to protest, should be the ones in charge. Do you think that there should be some kind of moral obligation, or maybe some kind of incentive for these people to be able to lead peaceful protests, or be able to make sure their crowds don't incite riots or physically violent behavior?
I don't think they should get an incentive, but I think it should be your job. I think
Mm-hmm.
if you're a leader, no matter what aspect of it is, if you're a leader, especially a leader in this community, and you're running a protest, or something's going to happen, it's your job as leader, as the captain of that ship, to be
Mm-hmm.
ahead of the storm, not behind it. And this country is full of behind stormers. We always take care of the storm afterwards. We patch up our boat and then we keep on sailing. And that's wrong. That's not a functioning way to live. We have to learn how to control this, and nobody wants to anymore. Nobody, and I feel like it's a big thing. Like nobody wants to stand out because nobody wants to get hit. Nobody wants to be the opposing force. But then you forget why you're fighting in the first place. We're the opposing force for a reason. No matter what it is, even if it's the opposing force on our own team, we're
Mm-hmm.
the opposing force. We're misfits all through and through, And if our goal is to be peaceful, and there's no, and you can't tell me, that the riots just happened, they got out of control. You know when shit's about to get crazy. I've been in more street situations enough, more mob situations enough, where I know, oh shit's about to get crazy if niggas don't handle it now.
Mm-hmm.
You can handle it, but they chose not to. Why? Because LeBron James backed them up. You see, this is what now will y'all listen? Now will y'all listen? Why does it have to be us breaking down Zara and burning down a Target and burning down police cars to have them listen? Why can't we? why can't we do like there was so much things that we could have done. Every black person in the NBA could have sat down and said, we're not playing the game until justice is served. Every black person in America could have sat down and said, we're not working, we're not doing this until justice is served. And we're going to be sitting outside. Wouldn't that cause a way bigger effect than burning shit down?
Yeah.
Nah.
And
but what happened was,
it would get people upset in the moment, but looking back on it, when things come back to it objectively, that's a completely peaceful protest. No one got hurt. They weren't like throwing punches at people, and they weren't destroying property. These people were saying, no, we're taking a stand. We'll resume the status quo when our terms are met. And it's just like that.
And that's what Ice Cube did. Ice Cube made a whole, I don't know if you heard about that. He made a whole document, and he sent that shit to the government on things that need to get done for Black America. And that's what needs to get done. That's how it's supposed to be done. We have our list of demands. We sit down. We show you guys how serious we are, not by burning shit, by showing you guys that we're serious. We sit down. We have a conversation. We negotiate terms. And then that's it. That's how the unsung war is supposed to be won, you know? But in this generation, you know, we didn't learn that. We learned, you have to fight no matter what. You have to show violence. You have to be aggressive. And it's like, that's not how you win chess. That's not how you win all chess games. I play chess with my brother all the time. And I'm the aggressive chess player. My first rule, my first job is to take your queen. I'm out of here. Your queen is mine. I'm Trey Songz. I'm taking all your chicks. My brother, super passive chess player. He's way chill. He understands. He's mad calm. He lets shit happen. And then he always wins in the end. And I hate that shit. With all my fucking heart, Drew, I swear to God, I hate that shit that he beats me every time. I even have a chess app. Me training to play that shit. And that's just how there's more ways to win wars than just with violence. And because that we didn't learn that as a generation in this generation now, this is the aspect of it. You know what makes me laugh every year? And this would be so fucked up. What makes me literally laugh every year? The Women's March.
What about
the Women's March is the funniest thing to me in the whole world. Which I'm not saying that their reason for marching is funny. That's a really great reason to march. But their whole trend that they're doing, it does nothing. It's so stupid. Every year, all these women are standing together. For what? Are you guys equally paid yet? No. So what is this march doing? This is like a party. The Women's March is no different than Coachella, than Astroworld, than fucking Woodstock. It's the same thing. It's just only women are fucking allowed. Nothing changes. You guys don't do nothing. When I heard the first Women March, I was like, yo, this shit's about to be crazy. These women are about to do crazy shit. Just like with Susan B. Anthony. Susan B. Anthony held the Women's March for women's rights. So they could have equal voting civil rights. And what happened at the end of that one march that she did? They got rights. Why? Because she didn't just march. She protested. She stood her ground. They're not doing nothing. They're just walking around. Y'all just getting your steps in together. Yeah, like that's nothing, bro. This shit it's a trend. Protesting is now a trend. What used to be back in the 70s and the 80s, which was our biggest weapon, the government made it that it's powerless for us. Oh, yeah, trend. Oh, March, ladies. We'll put that on Good Morning America. Oh, you see Joe Biden saying how much he appreciates the women. But nothing happens for the women, though. So how many more marchings are we going to have to do?
So do you, like, I'm just trying to, like, center your thoughts, just put it into, like, one thesis statement. So do you think that the reputation and being seen or being involved at these protests is more important to people than what the protests are actually about in the first place?
Hell yeah, bro. Look at Bernie, bro. Bernie's the whole reason for that. Bernie's whole thing of coming out to be president. I stood there with Martin Luther King. I was a protester. Back then, being a protester was a big thing. You was a freedom fighter. You wasn't just holding up a picket fence like taking Instagram pics and oh we here BLM. Nah, it was big back then. That's why now we're basically writing the coattails off of their fucking accomplishments. You can't tell me from the time that you've been living what big protest that has happened in our country that we've seen results. I can't tell you. I can't tell you at all. We protested against the police way back way back when they killed Eric Gardner. Nothing happened then. We protested against women. Women are still not equally paid. I take it back. The LGBTQ people are the only ones that actually protested correctly. They get all their shit. I take it back. Every time they protest, they get everything.
There was also like only one kind of thing. Like it was like a finite goal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you say like, oh, like as a black person, I want to be treated equally by police. That's something where that depends on the police officer you're dealing with, on like the mood he's in, on the county he's in the state he's in. Like there's so many that's like something that can't be like mandated or regulated. Whereas like the LGBT, like we want gay marriage, that's like a finite goal that can happen. You know, I feel like that was like an easier to obtain goal by protesting because it was one condition, easily met, easily done. Bam, it got there. They're good. Done.
True.
Kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like there's like a weird thing where it's like we want to be treated better. Okay, how do you want to be treated better? Like we don't want people giving us snide looks. Well, you can't regulate that government wise.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And like, you know, sometimes like cop hard ass woke up, spilled coffee in his lap, was told to work a double, is out there just steaming and pissed. You're going a couple miles over the speed limit. He pulls you over and gives you a ticket, not because you're black, but just because he's mad and wants to give someone a ticket.
100%.
You know, like sometimes that happens. It's one of those things where it's like, I feel like the reason the LGBT community stuff was like there was a set objective, set goal, got it done. It's not something where it's like we want general acceptance. It's like, okay, what are you going to do? Like mandate everybody accepts that? Like how is that going to work? Kind of a thing. Whereas like it was like we want marriage, we want to be able to work in these positions. Okay, boom, boom, done. They're done. Get out. Good. You know.
I feel like true, but I feel like with that stuff, right? So. With those terms, right? With the LGBTQ, they didn't have to go as aggressive because, again, they just wanted one thing, right? For something as this, for like, you know, equal rights, for black people to not get oppressed and all that stuff. I'm not saying you guys shouldn't be aggressive about it. 100%. We should be aggressive, but not in that form of aggression. You know, like Steve Harvey said it to Mo. We can't flex that way all the time, you know? It just doesn't work all the time. You know, you could be aggressive like by me saying, hey, if the state of New York, you know, if a big chunk of the state of New York sits in the X cross streets of the street and just sit down and have a cross shape of crowds guarding the street and saying, we're not moving until you guys give us our rights. That's aggressive. That's fucked up. And people will be definitely mad, but it's something. And then that will start in another state. And then that will start in another state. And then you have people show up. Oh, I'm sitting here. I'm doing this. And then it's not just for a day. That's what I hate too. People think protesting is like a job. You clock in, you clock out, you go home, and you start over. Nah, bro. The protesters I know, bro, they'll protest for days. Yo, I'm not seeing you this week. I'm protesting. I'm protecting a tree. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Where's that energy? Where's you guys sitting down, stopping traffic? Where's you guys sitting in front of the federal buildings, guarding it up, stopping people from coming in, saying, no, we're not going to let nobody in here until you give us justice. Where's that aggressiveness? I'm cool with that. I'm down with that. I'll sit in any street for that. Give me a nice box of weed. I'm with y'all niggas all day. And I'm sharing my shit with everybody. Yo, you want to smoke? Fuck the police. Hell yeah, come on through. That's how we do it. Like it's like I think about the mob, right? It's such a shitty ass example. Yeah. But I remember when the mob was running New York City, right? And they used to try to get shit done by the government, right? They'd be like, hey, we need, like, let's say you're a mayor, right? And I'd be like, hey, Drew, I kind of need you to kind of let some of my guys in the 86th Street to 95th and don't bother them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll go, the fuck out of here. I'm not doing that. I'll go, okay, you're right. My fault. I disrespected you. I will go. I will call the union of the construction workers, the union of the people who do teaching, the union of the people who make paper, the union of the people who do health. And I'll be like, yo, yeah, don't send your workers to work today. Yeah, cool. Boom. Now, New York City is now at a standstill. You guys don't have paper. You guys don't have teachers coming into work. You guys don't have anything. That's in the most fucked up form of way. That was a protest. That was them saying, you're going to do our demands,
Yep.
and we're going to show you how much power that we have over you. That's why the mafia was so powerful. Yeah, because they kill people, but people kill people all government kills people all the time. The mafia showed the government, you guys really don't have power. We have power. I can show you that we have power in just one phone call. That's what we can do. Yeah, we can't call the union reps and we can't do all that stuff, but we can stop shit.
Mm-hmm.
We're the government has us 1,000 to 1. No matter what, bro. 1,000 to 1. We can win. But we
100%.
choose to play their game instead of ours. And because of that, we lose every time.
The power of collective bargaining definitely is something that is not as considered. That it should be a lot more. I watched this video, and I think you might be talking about the same video. There's a guy on YouTube called Jake Tran, and I've talked about his video a couple of times here on the podcast, his channel. Go check him out. He does a lot of really good videos. He puts in a lot of work to them. On a lot of interesting topics. He did a video on like NFTs and like cryptos, and he does stuff on like how to launder money and like corrupt government stuff. And he did a video on like how the mafia used labor unions to control like local governments. And he referenced it with something that happened very recently in Australia. The truckers unions shut down all the highways in Australia because they were forced. They had a condition where everyone who was a trucker had to get vaccinated by a certain date or they were going to get fired. So all the truckers took to the highways and blocked the highways. And within 48 hours, there were new terms negotiated.
Yep.
Because
that's how you protest.
Collective bargaining and getting people to like be able to say like no and show how powerful we are in numbers or like that is extremely effective. And it is a very winning strategy.
No, I fucking agree. Like it's all like, you know, like the world has us now, ever since the Martin Luther King era and the Fred Hampton era and all this stuff, the world has us now that we're all alone. That's why we revolt in violence, you know? None of these rioters, they weren't rioting together. I never saw one video of a group of people grabbing a bunch of clothes together. It was a bunch of people individually causing the same chaos.
Yeah.
For an overall justified meaning, quote unquote. That's a problem. We're not together no more. Even when we say that we're together, we're still not together because we always have our selfish intentions, and that's wrong. If we have to stand together, not as a country, but as human beings, to fight against the oppression, to fight against the wrongdoing, to fight against evil in every way. It's not the government's job, it's the people's job. It's not the police job, it's the people's job. It's our job, you know. Do I think there's many other things that we should do to cops? Man, I think we should have, I kid you not, bro. I think to get cops in, bro, we should have a big cop training thing, and then they have like a big cop like contest. And the best cops that pass that contest, that Iron Man games and shit like that, they become cops. And that test is built with physical, mental, psychological things, everything that a cop has to deal with. That's what I think how I could fix that, you know. But there's just certain things, like multiple things that we can do, certain conversations that we can have that can take away all these little things, you know? Like it kind of got me mad about all these protesters and all these rioters. And the only one that called the district attorney of George Floyd's state was Jay-Z. Why didn't y'all call him? Why didn't
No.
none of those protesters say, yo, we're going to wreck this city until the district attorney calls us? There was no action. There was no end game. It was selfish doing. It was selfish urges being acted on for justified reasoning. And that's not justice. That's an act against humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Stage rate 101. My fault, Drew.
No worries, my man. Yeah, no, I agree with that. When there's no like just end goal, and if it's not like a finite reason, like it leads to chaos. And I know this has been thrown around, especially as a white person. There are definitely plenty of people of color who are sick of a white person telling them this. But a lot of the times during some of these protests, to me, from what I've seen, it was a reason for a lot of people just to blow off steam. And I'm not saying what they were protesting wasn't important, because it was. Police brutality is awful. These are the people we entrust to be our peacekeepers, and they're abusing that power to hurt people that they see as below them. That is unacceptable, and that is something that they should be prosecuted with the full extent of the law, and we should be taking resources to prevent that. I've been on the demilitarize the police train since 2013 when I was a dumb high schooler, like listening to Alex Jones in my room. Like that was what I was always on. Like this too much interference here. These attacks are a little too harsh. Now I understand there has to be this fine line where we if someone's on the ground and says, I can't breathe, and then you let them up and then they run, or you let them up and they turn around and stab you, like there has to be some kind of discretion, because then people will know that's the safe word to be able to escape custody. Like that's why those kind of rules can't go put into place. So I 100% agree with George Floyd should not have died there. It was an awful display of policemanship. And I'm glad that the people involved that contributed to the death of George Floyd are now in jail.
Yep.
100%. Yeah. Marching down the street and saying, we want justice, marching to your police department saying, we want justice. Absolutely. Yeah. 100%. Yep. I'll join you. I mean, I got work tomorrow. Yep. I can't go, but dude, if you do it on a weekend, I'll be there. You know what I mean? That'd be huge. But burning down a Target, a Wendy's, destroying, like trashing like businesses, like local places, Apple stores, like that, like we said earlier with the Martin Luther King thing, where when you had no retaliatory or no one taking advantage of the protest, it puts the protest as virtuous. And this, like, it turned a lot of people off. And, like I said, I can tell people are sick of like, oh, a white guy talking about it, doesn't know the struggle. I don't know the struggle of extreme racism, of like things that a lot of people go through in certain parts of our country. I'll admit that. And it sucks. I wish that no one had to put up with that. But in these protests, there were people, unfortunately, taking advantage of the fact that there was a protest, that there were a lot of people, and that it was more of a cleanup duty afterwards than, hey, let's get in there and arrest people who are doing stuff. And that's what sucks. And that really sucks.
I feel like moving forward as a country, we should take really good stock and go over our data about what happened in the past 2 years and understand, like, how can we not do this again? Not be afraid, because like after LA, we was afraid of riots. We was afraid of protesting and stuff like that. We should never be afraid of the people's reaction. They should be afraid of their reaction, because the government allowed this. The government allowed this. Our leaders allowed this. They allowed this to happen. And moving forward, we need to move so that we don't get to that space again. We don't get to that point where we're so angry that we want to break things, that we're so angry that we want to attack things, that, we're so, like, to me, I feel like it's 2021, bro, and we're still doing shit that they did in 1989. Like, and it didn't even work for Rodney King. Rodney King was put his case was not even like he didn't even win. So like that should have shown you what the LA riots did. It did nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a big fucking mass of mess that didn't prove anything. Rodney King didn't get justice for his fucking police for the
Mm-hmm.
police beating him. You know, the best thing that we got out of this situation was that George Floyd got justice, and thank the fuck God for that, because Lord knows the next riot after that was gonna be worse. You guys were gonna lose a lot more than just clothes and windows and shit like that. It was gonna be July. It was gonna be January 6th and Black Lives Matter riots put together.
Wow.
It was gonna be insane, you know. But I just feel, I feel
Mm-hmm.
like right now, as a country, all of our leaders they should take stock into this and be like, okay, this is what happened. I missed the ball. You know, this is
Mm-hmm.
what we should do. You know, like I get mad at a lot of the celebrities. You know, a lot of them too. A lot of the celebrities that have power and didn't really use it. You know, like I was when everything happened with George Floyd, man, I was happy as fuck. I thought shit was gonna go down. I thought no black artist was gonna promote music.
Mm-hmm.
I thought nobody was gonna play basketball. I thought no black people were gonna play sports. And I was down with that. I was with all the smoke. I was like, this is gonna be a dark
Mm-hmm.
day in the entertainment industry, but it's gonna do something. You know, it's gonna finally. That's the push. You know, our our artists and our people stop what they're doing is the new Martin Luther King marching across state to the
Mm-hmm.
White House, because that's the only way that it's gonna matter. You know, the government doesn't care about the people, as you can see. They give no fucks about us.
Mm-hmm.
But what they care about, they care about the celebrities that give them money. They care about those fancy ass CEOs that take care of their super PACs. That's what we should have done, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
that's what I get mad at these people. I get mad at all of them. Like, yo, y'all didn't do nothing. It was all a big thing. LeBron came up and said, oh, I talked to Obama. Obama told me that I should play basketball. Who the fuck? I don't give a fuck what Obama says, bro.
He's not in
Like,
charge anymore, bro. Like what?
yeah, like, bro, that dude is
What?
chilling in Camp David with his Secret Service people going, haha, racism. I'm above that.
Yeah,
Like, he doesn't.
it's like when it's like when news sources good like pro and against Trump are like quoting things that Trump is saying about the current administration and like
Yep.
what's like the state. It's like, okay, cool. Does that matter in any way?
Yeah, he's not involved no more.
Yeah,
Why is it
he's
that
not a
I
part
see
of it
Trump?
anymore.
I see Trump more than Joe Biden.
Hmm.
Like, it's wild. It's like, bro, I don't want to hear about Trump, bro. I thought this dude lost, bro. Why are we still caring
Yeah,
about what
it's
this dude's
over.
saying?
Like
Like,
it's
it's
done.
over, bro.
It's he's
He
not the
doesn't
guy in
have
charge
power.
anymore.
Yeah, he didn't really do the January 6th thing as you guys make it seem like he did. Like it's so funny how I think about that. Like, people think that he did January 6th, and I sit there and I go, man, I think about all the crazy shit that Donald Trump believed in, right? Like he
Hmm.
was one of the people that believed that 9/11 was an inside job. He backed that shit hard. He was full frontal on that shit. There was no riots for that. Uh there's so much other shit, and like it was nothing like George. Like I find it funny how we think that Donald Trump has all this power, but then at the same breath we go, "Oh yeah, but the president's a puppet." Is he? You just said that this one puppet was like the Jeff Dunhams of puppets. Like, what are you saying? Like now he's
I think it's
superpower, but now he's powerless. I'm not
it's not so
understanding that.
much. I don't think it's so much of a position as it is the person in that position. To where Trump was out there specifically saying things and then doing those things, or like working to get those things done. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah.
And the Republican Party was not backing Trump as much as people would think. Like whenever Trump would say things, a lot of time there were a lot of never Trump Republicans. When have you ever seen like never Obama Democrats or like never
Mm-hmm.
Clinton Democrats? Like,
Yep.
that was something that was fairly new. Um, like these, it was so much like he was in full control of the power that he was given. He was saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this. This is what's going to happen," and then it would happen, or he would, like, send some kind of group to do it, or send it to the floor. Whereas on the other hand, you have Biden, who is, in a public speaking sense, a lot weaker than President Trump, and he is
Yeah.
like he gives the impression that he's old, he's senile, not all there, fumbles his words too much, um, acts strange sometimes. There are instances where it's clear that Biden as the person candidate is a puppet for people, like, because he's not all there. He's not sitting there making the full decisions. He can't be as sharp as a lot of people say he is. Just judging on how he acts during TV interviews and how he's been throughout his presidency and what he said on the campaign trail going up and talking about kids playing with his leg hair and like that. That's not someone who's there.
Mm-hmm.
And but you have his administration that's essentially saying, all right, Biden's going to play the nice face, and then we're going to do the real thing because Biden's a lot weaker and more passive. Trump was
Yeah.
very much like, this is happening. I'm doing this. This is a thought that I'm having, and Republicans hate this thought. Democrats hate this thought, but I'm doing it because that's what I want. And that's what people liked. And a lot of the people that voted for him were saying, I don't agree with a lot, but it's refreshing that he's out there saying, this is what I want to do and not what like my party wants me to do. Where
Yeah.
he like, I mean, whether or not he was like used as a puppet or not used as a puppet is just up to your preference. But like with Trump in office, it was this strong leader is saying what's going to happen and it's happening. With Biden, the feeling you get is he's saying stuff, but you can tell he's not there. So he's probably getting it from someone else. He's
Yeah.
relying on who's behind him more than him being a solid spearhead. So with like how oh yeah, it's the Trump's most powerful person. He's dangerous. He's a puppet master, and then Biden being a puppet. It's not so much position as I would expect. Like it's more the person in that position and people's responses to that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That makes a lot of sense because Trump really was like that, and like,
Mm-hmm.
even
Oh
his
yeah,
own
he was.
party
He's yeah.
his own party was like, "Yo, bro, maybe you shouldn't do this," and he was like, "Fuck you, I'm gonna do
Yeah,
it."
exactly. Yeah, no, there were a lot of Republicans didn't like him. They would go on the record and say, "We don't like him. We don't want to vote for him." And I remember Republicans saying, like, "I don't want to vote for either people, but like I have to vote for my party as part of like my freaking like membership dues or whatever." Like people were not having it on both sides. I mean, like less Republicans where I'm not voting for Trump than Democrats, at least in like the political sphere of people that are at like the top, like Senate and representatives and media outlets. But he was a strong leader and he was an exceptional public speaker. Joe Biden does not have that talent. I haven't watched a lot of old Joe Biden videos. I'll do that as my homework for this week so I can come in next week talking
Yeah,
about it a little bit more.
I
But
feel that.
Joe Biden's been in politics for 60 years. And Donald Trump brought up a good point. He said, if this guy knows how to fix it all, why isn't it fixed already? He's been here for years, decades. And with Trump being a new player, showing up and immediately making a positive impact, not everything he did was a success. Not everything every president's going to do is going to be a success.
Yep.
But the economy was good. I specifically, I remember reading black-owned businesses spiked 400% under the Trump
Yep.
administration because it was more
Yep.
affordable to be able to go into business. Gas prices were low. People were able to go to work and make more money. It was a time of prosperity economically. During the Trump administration, there were more arrests and prosecutions of human traffickers and sex traffickers at the border in Trump's first 2 years than in Obama's 2 terms because of the increased security at the border. I consider that a win. Yeah, separating families isn't fun, and having to like detain and send people back, that's never fun. But in order to weed out these people who are illegally kidnapping and sending people up to our country or down into who knows where, that to me that's a solid trade. So there were good things, and then you have Biden, who we kind of returned to normalcy of no one really caring because he's not as like in your face and like, oh, I'm gonna do that. Like he's not as big and in your face as Trump is, but there's more effects. Like the picture I've been seeing go around all this week. People were taking pictures of the gas pumps
Mm-hmm.
in the days after the elections. And people were saying, like, because I remember a big thing where people were saying gas prices are going to skyrocket under Biden. And there was a lot of people saying, no, they won't. Like, that's just, conjecture. They'll go up a little bit, but it's not going to be that bad. So, like, the price is going around, and, like, it was 170 a gallon in some places. And they're comparing it to, like, modern pictures, and it's like 350.
Yep.
Like,
I could say
insanity.
that over here. I was
Hmm.
getting about 150 a gallon over here in Florida,
Hmm.
right here by racetrack. And racetrack's probably one of the most pretty. They're not the
Hmm.
cheapest gas, right?
Right.
Now I filled my brother's tank before he left. It's definitely over three. Like I was like, what the fuck is this?
My tank under $20 would get above half, almost three
Yep.
quarters. $20 now gets me a quarter of a tank of gas.
And it's so
It
weird because
won't get me up to half.
people say that the president doesn't control gas prices. Is that true?
So directly, no, but with his climate change policies, he is indirectly controlling the prices of it.
So
So
what
in
does
the
the
name of
climate change have to do with it?
so in the name of climate change, with him shutting down the domestic oil pipelines and him stopping drilling in the homeland, the only way to get oil and gasoline
It's
is to
from
buy
overseas.
it by the barrel from overseas. So there's an inherent shipping cost that gets tacked on, because instead of putting gas in a tube and throwing it from Louisiana to Ohio, that being a relatively cheap process, you got to put it in a barrel, put that barrel on a boat, and sail that boat across the ocean.
Wow.
That inadvertently tacks on a cost. And then you
Mm-hmm.
also have higher taxes involving fuel, because we want people to switch to electric cars, even though electric cars aren't affordable to the working class American right now.
Yep.
I can understand them doing that in 2030, but right now that's not a thing we can do. So this whole mileage tax, this whole, if you use gas, you got to pay extra tax, BS. It's BS. That's all that is. That's just an extra way to line their pockets. The average working class American is not going to be able to afford a $30,000 Tesla, like a secondhand Tesla, for like 20, 30 grand. That's just not, they're not going to be able to. They can afford a like $5,000 shit box on a loan, but they're not going to
Mm-hmm.
be able to get these electric cars. So like I said, 2030, 2035, yeah, go for it. Because a lot of car manufacturers have gone on record to state they're not going to be making gas cars after 2035 or 2030. Going to be all electric at that point. That's cool.
Okay.
I'm okay with that, man. Yeah, cool. But it has to be a gradual thing. Like, trying to snap to it right now, that's not gonna do anything. That's only just gonna put
Yeah,
people in
it's
debt.
it's too aggressive. Yeah, you're only
It's
gonna
it's it's
push the
too aggressive.
people.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so you have that coupled with that. So that's what's skyrocketing the prices. Just increased travel costs, as well as taxes on top of that. And because when you get it from other people too, they can set the prices higher. Because we just
Yep.
had an administration that was hard on the values of screw you, we're Americans, we make our own oil, and we're going to use our thing, right? And that got a couple people ticked overseas. And now we went to an administration that's, we don't want to make our own oil. We're just going to import it from others so we can feel good about not making oil. So now the people in other countries have to, they then decide the price of the barrel for us. Instead of us getting it and doing our own math with our own dividends and throwing it in a tube up the country, and it being a lot cheaper because there's no shipping cost, and plus there's no hiding the cost because it's all domestic competition. Now it's
Mm-hmm.
international. If these international countries say, hey, we all hate America, let's charge them an extra like $5 a barrel, they can gouge the price up and we'll have nowhere to go.
I believe
So
it.
that, yeah, so like so like Biden does not control the gas prices directly. Biden's not sitting in his office going, "Oh yeah, make it $4." Like that's not how it works. But with him making these policies, it makes it so that way indirectly everything gets raised. So that's what. So when people say, "Oh, it's not his fault," no, it is directly the Biden administration's fault for this. And people have been saying they know this is going to happen when you do stuff like this. Is it worth the give and take? And to the Biden administration, it is worth the give and take of having higher gas prices for the incentive of greener cars. From someone down at the working class level, I can see that that's not true. Where that's
For
not
real.
gonna, yeah, that's not gonna get there. Like I said, I love the planet. I don't want big rig tankers melting ice glaciers. I want us to be able to go fully to electric cars. I want nuclear power. That's always been my thing. Long-term
Yeah,
watchers of
you
the
said
show
that.
know
Yeah.
I love nuclear. I want nuclear everywhere. Um, Nuclear is the cleanest, most efficient, and cheapest source of energy we can possibly make. But if you want to do hydro and solar and wind, I'm okay with that too. But it all needs to be a gradual change, and it needs to we need to be able to do that coming off of the heels of our own bustling oil industry, because then there's not going to be that connect. There's not going to be a reason to go over, because like there's a reason, but it's not a reason that people can clear, you know, to where
I feel that.
what
Yeah.
because if we do all of our own domestic oil and gas is going down and going down and going down, and the price for a gallon of gas is like $1.70, $1.50, right? It's a low cost. So then when all these car companies stop making gas cars and go electric, and we spent a long time developing these batteries in cars to be able to charge quickly and putting more charge stations around and making these cars have longer lives so that way we can get affordable used cars to working class, then that cheap gas cost just becomes non-existent and just becomes a better drop off. To have this massive steep of electric and then gas, to have this big like drop makes it so that way people can't clear it, because they won't be like, you're taxing the crap out of them. How are people supposed to save money to buy an electric car if they're spending it all on gas?
Yep.
Like it doesn't make sense to me. It's like, yeah, you want to, people aren't choosing gas cars over electric cars because they just want to.
Yep.
That's not
And they're more
why.
expensive to fix.
Yeah, it's more expensive to fix, and it's because people can't afford it. If we wait for 2030, when all the new cars are electric, there's no more gas cars being produced. Number one, you're going to see a spike in value of older cars that are like taken care of, so that's more money in people's pockets for collecting, like what we talked about at the
Yep.
beginning of this episode. Then you're going to have people who are like, hey, electric's kind of becoming the commonplace. My next car will be an electric car. And then they can go to the used car dealership and get an electric shitbox for like $5,000 that can still be charged. And they can afford old beat up electric cars. There aren't old beat up electric cars yet. You
Yep.
can't get electric cars into like the low income areas. That's not how that works yet. So, and to try to force this now isn't the plan. We have to completely do like our own fuel. And like I know it sounds a little bit paradoxical, where it's like, oh, so increasing our domestic oil production is going to help us be greener in the long run. I say yes, because once the economy's good and then people can afford the electric cars, we gradually get them off. And
Mm.
then it
Hmm.
and then like I said, then at 2030, when gas is cheap and electric cars are available, and then you offer tax incentives and write-offs, people are going to be able to make that switch. And then you'll be able to get more and more people, more and more people, more and more people to get over to that. And then we can get rid of all of our oil production when we don't need it anymore.
Yeah, I feel that.
You know what I mean? It's like, to me, like the best example of like what we're trying to do right now is, say, so like for example, America is like a college student who smokes a pack of cigarettes a day, and they're trying to cut cold turkey in finals week.
Yep.
It's like the time you're gonna want it the most, you're cutting. So you're just sitting there and like like if say, okay, smoke now, it's not good for you. Smoke now. When you're out of college and you have that job and you're not stressed, then you can start that wean off process and you can be clean and done. But no, the way that this is, like, we have to do it now. So it's like, okay, I can't stop, but I have finals. Like it's causing that same panic response, and it's gonna cause like relapse, gonna cause hard hitting. It's pretty much the same thing. Do you get what I'm saying with this example?
100%. Yeah,
Am I
it's
making
like we're
sense?
not.
Okay, just
Yeah,
want to make sure I'm
100%
making
you are,
sense. I don't
bro.
want to confuse anybody. But yeah, the transition to where we want to be can be made. It just needs to be made gradually, and it needs to be done the right way. And we're just not doing it the right way. We want the results now, but we're not willing to space it out. And I understand we want to stop production as early as possible. We need to like start taking care of our planet more and everything. Yes, I understand that, but people have been saying that since the 80s. Remember when people said that we'd be underwater by 2000,
Yep.
or that like
And
California
they
was going
said
to
that
sink?
in 2000, Al Gore made a thing. In 10 years, we're gonna Florida and California are gonna be completely underwater.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's taking longer than we think it is. We have the time to be able to do this gradual shift. And you know me, I'm all about nuclear. If we could just put nuclear power plants all over the country, it would solve so many issues. Like
That
your
shit.
energy,
That shit
dude.
would. That shit would be kind of cool. It'd be a
Yeah,
lot easier.
it would be a lot easier. It would make a bunch of jobs. It'd be a lot easier. There are reactors being built that are incapable of going into meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
Like people's whole thing is, what if there's a nuclear meltdown? What if a nuclear bomb blows up? No, it's not going to happen. There are measures in place to make sure that doesn't happen. Nuclear, like if you are going to go into a nuclear meltdown at your plant, there are readings that the engineers are going to get days in advance to
Yep.
let them know, hey, there's a possibility of meltdown. And with our current OSHA standards and with maybe a little bit of more nuclear focus in that, we can make it so that way the only reason anything would ever happen at a nuclear plant would be because of gross negligence, which is not something that the US labor force involved with OSHA is known for.
Yep.
If you have a heavy presence of OSHA and a safety officer who's a hard ass on your site, it's not like in Russia where they had to meet a quota or they're getting shot. Or it's not
Yeah,
like
and
in
it's
Japan.
like
Yeah.
and a lot of people talk about the Chernobyl stuff. Like, if you guys look at the documentary on Chernobyl, they knew it was gonna melt down. They knew. The Russian government was like,
Mhm.
"Nah, keep on pushing."
Yeah,
And
like
then
just let it go. See what happens. Yeah.
yeah, like, and then they saw what happened. So like, it's not like it just happens overnight. Like, you wake up one day, it's like, oh my god, what happened? The whole fucking place is nuclear
Yeah.
now. Like, nah, never.
Yeah, it's not like oh, I dropped the animal cracker in the vat and now we're all gonna die. Like that's not how that works. Like
Imagine just that one cracker just blows up the whole
yeah,
America. Like, yo,
it's not how it works. And the Fukushima back in 2010, a lot of people reference Fukushima and they say this was a modern nuclear meltdown. That was caused by a freak tsunami,
yep,
and even then, we can learn from that and make sure
yep,
that nuclear facilities are never that close to the coastline.
yep.
Like
I don't know
there are
why it was
so
so
much.
close to the fucking coast.
Yeah, we have the data available to be able to like fail safe this, to completely make it idiot proof and fail proof. We can do it. It's just it takes a lot of brain power, and a lot of people won't be making money over a long term because power will be cheap. And
Yep.
we go nuclear, your power bill will be in the double digits. Like it would be unreal. It's like $20 for all the electricity you use this month.
And you know what? I think that's a
Mhm.
big problem in our generation. Like, because like,
Yep.
if you go through the times, there's a lot of things that went obsolete. Like, there's
Mhm.
not, like, blacksmithing isn't really a big job anymore.
Yeah.
But 300, 400 years ago, bro, you had families that built you to be a blacksmith. You're
Yeah.
gonna be the best blacksmith of all time. Like, there's stuff, like, there's
Mhm.
things that I'm trying to think of utilities that we don't use anymore, that's just obsolete, that is like, yo, that shit just worked, that shit just left. And I feel like now we don't, a lot of these companies like Con Edison or my Con Edison, Duke Energy, or, all these light bill companies, all these power companies, they don't want to lose that. They don't want to
Oh
start
yeah.
over. I feel like that's their thing. Like, damn, if
Mhm.
we all switch to nuclear, then Con Edison is no longer the big power company now. Now they're
Oh yeah,
starting
they're screwed.
fresh.
Coal is going
Yeah.
to be screwed, and like I said with the electric cars thing, it has to be gradual. It can't be like, say I get elected supreme ruler of America. We can't like in 1 year put nuclear plants everywhere and just turn everything off. It has to be done
Yeah.
gradually to where like we would say, okay, as of today, no more people can be hired to mine coal. Not
Yeah.
like fired, like we're not killing the industry. We're saying you can't hire people to do it anymore. So your crew is the last one you got. Do what you got to do.
Or
And
like
then
even so, we
once,
can we
yeah,
can convert these power companies into nuclear power companies. Like
yeah,
the
they could be
electric company
retrofitted.
people.
It
Yeah,
would, yeah,
they can
there
get
would have to be
training
some
and shit.
legit, yeah, there'd have to be some logistics to like make sure that, like see what we can do with retrofitting if it was like well enough to build another facility. But yeah, like, there's a million other options. And like what I love about nuclear too, the waste product that comes out of it
Yeah.
is exactly what you put in. So this bottle cap right here,
Mm-hmm.
say this was radioactive and say
Yeah.
it was powering a bunch of houses, right? When it reaches the end of its use at the power plant and it's taken out and it's being brought to the Nevada desert for dumping, which
Yeah.
is where our radioactive dumping sites are, the only waste that will be transferred over there will be this cap and some water.
Really.
That's it. That is what it is. Like that and some irradiated water. That's the only waste products that come out of the nuclear power um like
Plan.
process.
Yeah.
Yep, the only waste. It doesn't produce CO2. Like the smoke coming out of nuclear towers is steam
Yeah.
because you got to keep the pipes cold. That's it. You got to keep the pipes cool. So like when you see in movies like nuclear waste or like toxic nuclear waste and it's like glowing green sludge,
Yeah.
it's irradiated water. It's
Really.
water, like yeah, it's water being cycled and pressured and being put on the rods of nuclear pellets to keep them cool so that way they don't get too hot. And like the neutrons
Oh.
bounce off of it and then make steam and turn a generator and then it makes power. Nuclear
Right.
power is essentially just advanced hydropower.
So we spoke one time
Hmm.
about technology, right? And you were saying
Yes,
how there was that, what was it, Russia, right? That they got hacked and then they fucked up their steam pipes, right? Was it
that's right.
Russia?
Yes, it was. It was Soviet Union installed a program to regulate their steam pipes from the
Yeah.
United States. They were pirating program. The U.S. put in a Trojan, and it caused a steam pipe explosion. That was the biggest non-nuclear explosion at the time. I believe the Moab got a bigger explosion.
So do you think, like, let's say if we all go, let's say you're supreme
Hmm.
king, right? And you're making everything nuclear, right? And you did it
Hmm.
gradually, and now we're at that point where America is full nuclear, right? That's gonna happen to you.
You're getting a little static. I didn't hear you.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
I optimist prime
a little bit. Different radio into it.
folks. Oh, what just happened here? Oh, okay, okay. It reconnected. All right. Drew's here. Drew, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. There we go.
Perfect.
We're
Okay,
back.
I don't know what happened there.
Could have been my internet. You never know.
Nah, we could just blame Haps. It's cool.
Yeah, let's blame Haps. Well, Haps used to tell me when my internet was good. I get no service bar now, so they took a lot of essential information, just took it out of the dashboard for no reason. So I'm glad about that. I used
Hope you
to
guys are
stick up for
listening.
you, Haps. I used to say you were kind of all right, and you do this shit to me, dude.
You hear that,
How many
Haps? You're
people,
fucking up your own supporters, man.
people on the VOP openly shit talk Haps, and I'm always like, hey, come on, it could get better. They're in beta. Yeah, it's kind of good for what it is. Like, just wait, it'll be better. And like you make it shitty. Like,
And
come
then
on,
and they're
bro.
no longer in a beta, as you can see. There's no beta thing
Come on,
anymore.
dude. That sucks. You guys suck, bro.
They're a full app now, and this is their
You
full app
guys
process.
honk honk, bro. Freaking clown nose.
But yeah, so like, so let's say you go full nuclear, right?
Yeah.
And how much worried are you that someone's just gonna hack into your system and then fuck up your shit?
So that would be part of the pre-planning process with the OSHA standards on how to construct and maintain systems and networks within nuclear power plants.
Okay.
Everything would have to be a closed network, if not completely analog.
Mm.
Um, there would need to be a mandate for security personnel with certain clearances. It would make a lot of jobs. There would be a lot of like hassle to get some of these jobs,
Yeah.
which I'm sure a government program to get people the certifications to like spur the job market would be well worth it. Um, but like there would have to, you would need a think tank of people to sit down and say, from the mind of a terrorist, what would happen? What could go wrong?
I'm
Like
not
the
gonna
best.
lie. If you hire a couple of terrorists, a couple of hackers, be like, look, fix this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, that's what I would do. But this is why I can't be
Yeah.
supreme king. You feel
Well, no,
me?
you would bring in a couple of white hats, a couple of like prominent white hats. If you wanted to bring in a prominent black hat hacker, you could maybe like offer some kind of pardon or some kind of like say like, hey, listen, I can't pardon you, but if you want to like move to a different country so you're outside of my jurisdiction, we'll make that happen.
Yep.
And
And
then it's just
I'll
for
give him money. I'll be like, bro, I'll give
yeah.
you $10 million. Move out,
Mhm.
just fix this shit, and don't do anything. And if you tell
For
these secrets,
people, yeah, yeah. If you tell any secrets, we're coming for your ass. But for people
yeah,
who don't understand what I mean by white hat and black hat, white hat hackers are considered ethical hackers. They're people who are hired by security teams, people who write code, people who their hacking is to ensure safety of people and safety of software. So a lot of companies, if they make like a website or they make like some kind of cybersecurity thing, they hire a white hat hacker to test the software to try as hard as they can to break it. A black hat hacker is someone who hacks exclusively for their own gain. Usually mean, usually to steal from people, usually to like run underground marketplaces on the deep web or DDoS people or dox people. Black hats are people who do it maliciously. So I'm saying like, bring in a think tank of white hat hackers and maybe a couple bad ones just to get like the real scoop on what we can do. The best emergency planners are the people who can think like terrorists and come up with terrible situations on their own. I went to school with a lot of emergency planners and sometimes people used to ask me like we would brainstorm situations and I remember we had a specific assignment where we had to come up with a smallpox outbreak and what would be the best way if we were terrorists to spread smallpox. And a
mm-hmm.
lot of people came up with some pretty lukewarm ideas. And I came up with, well, just get hired at your local cinema during Christmas time when it's really busy and then work the popcorn machine and sprinkle it in. And like people
That's
were like,
smart.
dude, like people came up to me and they were like, are you like okay? Do you need to talk to somebody? Like people would ask me that. I'm like, no, like how do you guys not think like this? Like you got to prepare for
Yo,
everything.
that's the thing. Like, I always say, like, super side note, but like,
Mhm.
I always say, like, if terrorists really want to like, if they really want to attack America, they should really watch American TV shows that have terrorists in them. Because, like, the
Yeah.
TV terrorists, those dudes are so smart. Like, they do shit that's like, wow. Like, when you enter the fifth stop on your train, that train blows up. But, like, terrorists here, like, I remember there was a terrorist in the Bronx. No, in the city. He was the pipe bomb guy. And he got caught with a handmade pipe bomb. And then it went off on him. And then it was just like, bro, you guys are the worst terrorists ever. Like, you guys don't
Mhm.
have no, like, I swear, like, if ISIS was to ever abduct me, bro, that'd be the best thing for them. I'd be like, bro, I got y'all niggas. We're about to hook
The
this shit up.
like the reason why you can't, like, why you have to take your shoes off in the TSA, like the shoe bomber. Do you like hear about how that went down?
No.
The dude like hid chemicals in his shoes that, when mixed, form a explosive,
Yeah.
and he hid them in his shoes. So on the flight, he took them out of his shoes and he mixed them, and they spilled onto his crotch, and he like burned his entire crotch. Like that, yeah, that like there was no incident, but there was a potential of incident because this dude tried it and like ultimately failed. But to quote the to
These
quote
guys
the
suck.
IRA, to quote the IRA,
What's up?
uh, you need we need you need to be lucky every time. We need to be lucky once.
Like,
So
yeah, like, yo, that shit
you
is
gotta
so,
prepare.
like, it's so funny. Like, I just really think about it. I'm like, yo, like, people talk about terrorism. I'm like, yo, terrorist people are really not a really
Mhm.
big deal. Like, unless you got Osama bin Laden attacking another two buildings, bro, we're straight, bro. There's no big, like, I feel like that's another thing too. Like, terrorism became a big weapon for the government to use
Mhm.
against us. Like, terrorism's gonna attack you, and it's like, nah. I feel like whether or not you think 9/11 is an inside job or not, whatever happened on the Twin Towers, it was a freak coincidence. That never happens. There's no buildings that just get attacked, or
Mhm.
anywhere. Actually, I kind of fucking think about it. There's no fucking body that flies planes in Iran and attacks the fucking mosques and shit. Like,
Yeah.
that doesn't happen. Like, it happened here because we had a flaw. If you believe the 9/11 stuff, you
Yeah.
know, we had a flaw in our aerial things, and then they took a great day, which was our the games, and they took that to their advantage. So we took that offense. Like, it's not like somebody's gonna come in now and be like, oh, I'm a terrorist, I'm gonna blow up the Statue of Liberty now. Like, that's not gonna happen ever. I feel like that's probably in our lifetime, probably never gonna happen again. And if it does, we're probably gonna be mad old.
Yeah, and it has to be something where they had to think completely outside the box for it. Like it has to be a
Yep.
new avenue of terrorism because you can't possibly figure out a you can't do it the way that terrorist past have done it just because that's
Mm-hmm.
how like the government's response to that. The CIA is on top of everybody. Like no fly lists, blast proof doors in the cockpit. Um, like the screenings and stuff, everything is done to make sure that that doesn't happen in the same area of avenue again, unless it's something like a cyber attack or some like I said, some area of avenue that is a vulnerability, which good luck with that with our current security. There's no way that it'll be able to make it what it is.
How do you feel? How likely are we to get hit with a big EMP bomb as a country?
Not likely.
Really?
I don't think, like, no, because the only way to make a big EMP is to have a massive detonation in the atmosphere, and we have very sophisticated anti-air missile defense systems, and we
Mm-hmm.
also have global satellites and spies all over the world. So if it got to a point where some country or some non-state actor were planning on doing something like that, they could try, but it wouldn't be something that could happen. I feel like not so much an EMP, but a cyber attack,
Yeah.
something akin to the early 2000s viruses like
Yeah.
WannaCry and I Love You.
Mm-hmm.
Those like that would be, it has to be a new version of those with a new method of transmission besides email, like spam link, because we're kind of like, it's funny. I've been watching a lot of documentaries recently on like computer viruses. There's a YouTube channel called Disrupt TV, and they made a couple videos on deadly viruses, and the time frame is always 90s and 2000s because we know how to not fall into those traps.
Yeah.
Like we're set like that. We know not to open up these spam fishy emails. We know not to click on links. We know when we download a file and someone says, "Hey, download this funny picture of a dog," and it's an exe file, we know not to open it
Yep.
because we know we're more savvy in that. In order to get information like that, it has to be something super sophisticated, and it has to be something that it has to be like a whole new method that we'd have to get hit and then redo our method of security. Like
Hmm.
it would have to be something way out of left field that we couldn't see. But I feel like that is more plausible than an EMP, just because EMP, there's a lot of hardware. Like an EMP, like in order to create a detonation that would have an EMP to do any substantial form of damage, it would have to be a nuclear strike. To which no one wants to do a nuclear strike, because nuclear strike means everyone's dying. Because like Russia and the U.S. essentially have this weird agreement where if you fire first, by the time those missiles hit me, you will be dead, kind of a thing.
Yep.
So no one wants to do the nuclear option of throwing, like, even if it's just an EMP. Number one, like, you're not going to call up the U.S. and be like, "Hey, listen, we sent a nuke up to the atmosphere. Don't worry, it's not going to land on you guys. We're just doing an EMP to disable your communications, okay?" Like, that's not that's not how that's going to work. So it's immediately going to be retaliated upon. So I don't see the EMP, but I do see some kind of virus or cyber attack being the next big terrorist incident in the United States.
I feel like, with that being said, I feel like, just now thinking about it, the biggest terrorist attack, I kind of think, if it'll be cyberly, they will attack the satellites.
I could see that. Satellites are getting a hold of government weapons. There's a lot of like weird stuff going on in satellites and cyberspace. You ever heard of the Rod of God?
No, not at all.
It's a weapon that the United States has. This is real. This is 100% real. I'm not making this up. There's a satellite that's orbiting the the world, and it
Hmm.
has these rods in it. And when they want to if they want to do a precision strike with it, they just drop the rod from the satellite. And it's called the
Wow.
Rod of God because the kinetic force when it hits the ground does more damage than a small nuclear bomb.
Jesus
And there's
Christ.
no like radiation or fallout. It's just dropping a stick from wicked high. But it's made of the right materials and it's durable and dense enough when it hits the ground. Like it will, and like there's no use for like any kind of like fire. There's no use for like nuclear stuff, like no bio stuff. It is, just look it up. The Rod of God. Look it up. It's a real thing. And
The
it's something
rod
that's
of God.
like,
That sounds wild brolic.
I know, right? It's like it sounds so like weird,
Holy
but yeah,
shit, this is real. The
yeah,
rods of God
it's
idea was a bundle of telephone poles size of 20 feet long, 1 foot in
mhm,
diameter. Tungsten rods, Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Dropped from orbit, reaching the speed up to 10 times the speed of sound. The rod itself will penetrate hundreds of feet into the earth, destroying any potential hardened bunkers or secret underground sites.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, it's more of a tinfoil conspiracy hat when I say it exists. I think it exists. I think they're just kind of keeping it in case they need it, kind of a thing.
No, I
Formally,
think
it
it's
doesn't
real.
exist. So before you say like, "Oh, Drew's just talking out of his ass again,"
Now, why
like
not?
formally, it
Why?
doesn't exist. But
I
why
think
wouldn't
I
it
think
exist?
that's
That
a
definitely is
hundred
out there.
percent real. Because I
They
think there's no
definitely,
laws
yeah,
against you having weapons in space.
yeah, and that's it's a lot better than a nuke. You know what I mean? Because the nuclear option is our like end all be all. This can
Yep.
deliver damage like near to that caliber, destroying like hardened bunkers with a non-nuclear, non-radiation option. It's definitely up there. It's definitely flying around in case like an invincible scenario where Omni-Man's freaking out and we got to pull out a bunch of weapons out of nowhere. That's definitely up there in case we need some kind of weapon. So, you know,
I think
on
I
that
think I
note,
think they definitely have that. I think they have
oh,
that. I think other countries have their own rods of gods
mhm.
too.
I definitely think it's something that they have. It's too, see, it's so outlandish, no one would believe that it's real, but it's like documented.
Yep.
And like I definitely feel like it's there. I
And
would
there's even
yeah.
video like on the History Channel of
Mhm.
like I'm guessing it's a 3D picture, but even so, like if you guys are showing this, it got to be like you guys are definitely making this.
Yeah, there's definitely some testing. It's definitely up there in case
Yep,
for a rainy day kind of a thing if they need it. So on that note,
that's insane.
Sage Elias, thank you so much for coming by the show. Do you have any last minute thoughts, any comments, anything you want to say before we wrap up for the night?
I appreciate everybody for coming out. Shout out to Sageway Podcast. That's on
Hmm.
Spotify right now. Shout out to all my Irish friends all the way in Dublin. I fucks with y'all.
Nice.
Shout out Engage and Sage on Facebook. Above that, people stay safe, man. Welcome to the political zoo, man. We get to be animals today.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much, Sage, for coming by. I just want to wish everybody a good night. Thanks for coming on by and watching our show all the way to the end. If you want to get some more content, follow me over on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're working on the TikTok, YouTube, which we're streaming to right now. I also have a Patreon if you want to support the channel in any way or the program in any way while putting some dollars forward. I have a Patreon with a bunch of tiers. Subscribing to any tier on the Patreon will get you a spot in our Discord server. I have giant open debate channels where people can go and have giant big debates. You can talk to me on the server. You can pitch your ideas. Feel free to come on by if you want to support the channel in that way. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it's always welcome for you guys to come by. Thank you for listening tonight. Research everything, question everything, and we'll see you again next week. Good night, everybody.